What is going on, everybody? It is episode 444 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Crisis Actors. I'm really out of the swing of things. It's Mary. I was massively unprepared for the show to start just now.
I hit the on button and she goes, ah!
I didn't keep an eye on the clock. I didn't know. Okay. But I'm back. I was moving yesterday. Moving sucks. It's never not gonna suck, but I'm glad that that's over.
Yes.
Today we have Libby on the show again. Hi,
Mary.
Libby. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And just yesterday, you posted a video of some lady who did the thing where she was moving and she's like,
Sure
right?
did.
That was great.
That was very funny.
She's like, yeah, just just stay with the guy, right? Like, it's not worth it to move alone.
Yeah, moving sucks without a guy.
There are also people you can hire to do that.
Yeah. It's expensive though, right? Hiring movers is expensive.
And they steal things and break your stuff.
They break stuff. The last time I hired movers, they broke my son's laptop. They grabbed his backpack and threw it in the truck. And then when I asked for it back, I was like, we need that. That doesn't go in the truck. They were like, oh, we don't know what it is. We got it. The laptop was literally broken. It was like smashed in half. And then I said, you really should pay for this laptop. And they said, well, the move took longer than we expected. So why don't you pay me this extra? Then we'll talk about your claims. And I was like, and we're done. Like, we're done now.
Yeah.
It's because a lot of them are ex-convicts. So a lot of them don't have any reservations about damaging or stealing things.
And a lot, there's a lamp that a bunch of stuff got broken. It was very disheartening.
Yeah.
Moving is never fun. It's really not. When I moved out here, I literally just threw everything in my apartment away and kept 2 boxes and put it in storage. Like not even in storage, at my dad's place. Like I had like 2 small
That's
tubs.
a better storage because you don't have to pay for it and then they don't sell it off.
Exactly.
On TV.
He could someday. I'm sure if I made him angry enough, he'd sell off my vintage video game collection.
Guys, if we get more than 5 crisis parties today, I'm going to post my address in the chat.
Oh my God.
What?
That's a terrible idea.
She didn't say current address, so maybe it's her old address. There you go. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. Dillon Danis, who is going to be fighting Logan Paul very, very soon. He has been sued by Logan Paul's fiance, Nina Agdal, for claims of, what was it? Humiliation,
emotional distress, and reputational harm.
And she's also taking out a restraining order on him. I don't know how, I'm picturing him like walking up to her and showing her pictures of herself, like in compromising positions, and she's like, he won't go away from her. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the restraining order. We're going to talk about Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner. This story has blown up in the last couple of days because Joe Jonas of the Jonas Brothers has left his wife, Sophie Turner, because she just wants to party and have, that's what I'm told, right? She wants to party and have fun, right?
They're saying he likes to stay home, she likes to party, their lifestyles didn't match up.
Well, at the end of the day, what I think you're going to be looking at here, ladies and gentlemen, like when you peel back all the layers, it's a lot of PR propaganda from both sides, especially now that custody of children is in play. Public image is going to be paramount in this, and you're going to be seeing a lot of... There was a great image of him, they're like... after filing for divorce, Joe Jonas takes the kids out for ice cream. I'm like, very publicly outside where there are cameramen,
but
right?
That's really confusing because in the court documents, they say they want to do, equal time sharing of the kids and that neither of them are looking to get child support.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. So it can get nasty in public for these things too, because your image does matter. Like he's still going to be able to perform, but she's going to be acting. She's going to also, it's good for her career if it keeps her in the news. Right?
Yeah, I'm really tired of the public custody battles.
Yeah.
I feel like it's really bad for the kids.
Yep.
It's bad enough for the kids without it being like your parents virtue signaling online about whether or not they like you enough.
Right now, they're only 3 and 1, so hopefully they don't have internet access.
So it'll come. They'll be damaged eventually.
We're going to be talking about that. We're also going to talk about Ethan Hawke, who is in the news because he directed his daughter Maya Hawke's sex scenes in her newest movie. If that sounds weird to you, don't worry, you're not alone. So we're going to get into that. And we're also going to be discussing the topic of boy moms because there's this creepy video that went viral last week. And it's just a topic that's coming up a lot lately because boy mom, I'm not a fan of the boy mom, girl dad thing. I think it's...
But we have the mom of a boy.
Yes. I am a mother who has a son.
Yes. I just find it to be needlessly divisive to make it about more than that. So, all right, we got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. Before we get started, guys, would you hit the like button on this video? Subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Share this video with your friends so that more people may come in and join us and watch this show. Remember, all Super Chats, $20 and over, we will stop the discussion. We will interrupt. We will read that Super Chat right then and there. Then we will get back on topic as soon as we're done. So if you ladies are ready, we will get right into it. Mary, are you ready?
I'm finally ready.
Libby, are you ready?
All set.
Okay, you got the headphones on? Everything's good? All right, let's go ahead and get started then. So Al Pacino and his girlfriend, Noor Falah, I assume I'm pronouncing that correctly. I believe that's what it was the first time. She has filed legal custody documents for their child, but they're still together.
So she's going to get sole custody?
They're not even broken up. I really do believe that this is done so that, like, if he croaks, which is completely plausible because he's 800 years old, like, it's at any moment, like...
He's only 3 months old.
Yeah, like...
that kid is never going to know his father.
You know what she's going to start doing?
That's really sad.
Once these documents are filed, she's going to be like, hey, Al, you want to do that one chip challenge? Which they banned. They made it illegal. They're taking them off the shelves because of the very sad story about a young...
Didn't he eat like 14 of them, though?
I don't know. That can't be. That, like, you would... Did you see Alex Stein when he ate one?
No.
Does
it come in a bag where it's just one chip in the bag?
It's one chip. So it comes in a cardboard box that looks like a coffin.
Okay.
And like, Alex Stein ate it and he looked like he was going to die.
How did this get to market?
I mean, people love spicy stuff and that stuff works.
I mean, death chips.
It's like it immediately, like, on the label, it says, do not eat if pregnant.
Really?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So they're going to start putting these behind glass cases.
Oh, yeah. This will be behind the counter at the stores.
But I just think that...
They'll just be in weed shops.
Yeah, that's probably right, honestly.
This woman is clearly opportunistic. She's 29 dating an 83-year-old. Her son is not going to know his father.
Nope.
Or if... for some reason, Al Pacino lives to like 100.
He'll be 18. He'll graduate high school.
He'll finally be 18.
His dad will drag his rickety ass to the graduation ceremony and then die afterwards.
That's a really sad situation. And you said she was dating
Mick Jagger
and Clint Eastwood and other very geriatric famous men.
She's just trolling the old folks home.
She has a geriatric kink. Is what she has going on.
I think she has a money kink.
Really?
I think she has.
You can find money.
I mean, all those guys have money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're also not going to live very long. She's got a money kink, but no patience. That's what she's got. She's a very impatient lady. You know, and she's like, look, it's the way it's got to be. And I just love this photo. Like, he is so, look at this photo of him. He's hunchback. He's like, and she's just very young and not that. It's amazing. So, you know, they have to file for the custody agreements. And somebody mentioned Michael Jackson in this, but you mentioned that he had used a surrogate, or like they used a surrogate.
He had a surrogate, and he didn't seem to have any partner.
Yeah.
That whole situation was so bizarre.
Yeah. For all of his kids?
Wasn't it?
He named one of them Blanket.
He named one of them Blanket. Remember I don't know if you guys remember, there was like the scandal where he was holding one of the children out over a balcony in Germany. That was creepy. You know?
But it was like, oh, take a picture. Like,
right, and it was covered with a blanket.
Oh, is it Blanket that was covered in a blanket?
It might have been Blanket.
Yeah.
But that whole thing was so bizarre. And then, like, the mom, it was hard for the mom to get custody back or something. Okay. I don't remember. It was weird.
In the chat, Marie D says, money and love is possible. Yes. Yes, it is. 83 and 29. I'm sure, given the fact that all her other boyfriends were above the age of 60, I am sure it is completely plausible that she is deeply, madly in love with a dude who could be the spokesperson for AARP. But call me cynical. I'm erring on the side of bullshit. I could be wrong.
I'm on your side here.
Yeah. I'm with you on the bullshit.
I could be wrong. So I could be wrong. But in other news of people in relationships, we have Kevin Costner's wife, who I reported on yesterday. She was very upset because she asked for the measly sum of $163,000 a month in child support.
Hey, and the judge that is even more than Hunter Biden was making on the board of Burisma.
And the judge says, "Look, I'll give you $63,000 a month." And she says, "I'm going to have to enter the workforce at only $63,000 a month. She's going to have to enter the the workforce.
And she also said that luxury is in her children's DNA at this point, and you can't downgrade their lifestyle now.
But my favorite part is now she has been, his lawyers are just like, he's just rich. He's just got the skeeziest lawyers you've ever seen, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And he just took her to task. So he cut the alimony in half, and now she has to pay his attorney's fees.
But didn't she file for divorce?
Yes. Oh yeah. So
Did
he's
she
like,
forget the part where like most women who end up divorced end up having to downgrade their lifestyles? Like that's a real thing.
yeah, he had to do a thing where it's like you're not allowed to take the artwork out of the house. You're not allowed to take the furniture out of the house.
Damn.
It has to stay because it was like a family estate, I think, that goes past his generation, right? But it says, this is the funny part. It says, her lawyers essentially, as we reported last month, Kevin lawyers, Disso Queen Laura Wasser asked Christine if she understood the premarital agreement that she signed. It's a significant question because there are signs Christine will challenge the prenup, and understanding it before signing it is relevant. And Christine and her lawyers essentially said that they didn't understand what understand meant. And basically the judge, I guess, is just like, you're wasting my time. You're paying his lawyer's fees. I love it.
That's like when Bill Clinton said that depends on what the definition of is.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking too.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
It says there was a lot of back and forth between lawyers, and as Bill is trying to squeeze an answer to the question amounted $14,237.50. So she's gonna have to pay that.
That
up
50
to
cents. He really fought for that at the end.
And like that's gonna take a bite out of that. $63,000 a month if she's got to pay a whole $14,000. I think they said her rental property costs like $40,000 a month to live at.
I don't know. You see this. You see like Hunter Biden also has like some massively expensive, like $30,000 a month for his Malibu place. Why would you ever rent a property that costs that much money? You could buy a property for 2 months of what it costs, in some places.
There's a $20 one there from Marie.
I had to defend my comment. Was not claiming this woman loves this 83-year-old man. She's deaf, a gold digger. Said that because these girls could probably find a reasonably aged man with money who they actually like.
I mean,
Yeah,
maybe.
but-
Not as much as they like money, though.
Maybe she's just not interested in having a loving relationship. She just wants money.
I actually had a conversation with somebody, this was a while back, who was telling me about her marriage. And, we're talking about marriage or whatever. And she said she didn't marry for love. And her husband knew that. And they were both on board with it. And, they wanted to have like a successful family with all of the, accoutrements of privilege, essentially. And that they both cheated on each other. And he was substantially older than her. And I was like, I believe what I said was, you actually entered into a marriage on these terms. And she was like, yeah. And now I'm kind of sad about it. I'm like, yeah, now you're sad about it. Yeah. That's what happens. That's how that goes. Like, you should be sad about it. Either that or you have a hole in your chest where your heart should be.
Yeah, that's more of a business contract than anything. And how would you even be able to cheat in a marriage that wasn't about love in the first place?
The idea,
wasn't that part of the plan?
They're basically
it's part of the contract, I guess.
It's basically putting a cuddle buddy on retainer. That's what you're doing. It's
doesn't sound like they were interested in cuddling.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of cuddling.
What's the point for the guy? If not,
I understand be at their summer house and he'd be at their city house, and then they'd switch
having
around.
an image.
Okay, yeah. So the idea is like he needs somebody that he can go to work functions with that looks like he has a normal life.
Like take her to the gala.
Okay, whatever. Like, I mean, I think the same
so
thing with
unpleasant. Like, I'd rather be alone than have something like that.
And I think the same thing about Bezos when I see the lady he's with now. I'm like, I hope it's worth it, bro. Like, he seems happy.
This is like one of the yacht models.
Yeah.
He's like
Well, she's like she's like a fitness model, but she's like in her 40s or something. They're age appropriate, right? But it's like, it just does look like, he's like, do I see them lasting forever? No, but whatever. I don't want to, if they do, that's good. If they do last forever, that's good. I saw the other day that, who is it? Tom Hanks has been married for like over 30 years.
Same lady, right?
Same lady.
Well, that's obviously what you
But there's a couple of them that have been married for an extended period of time. It does happen.
I think Tony Shalhoub.
Probably,
married for a long time.
Monk.
He's funny.
Yes, the Monk guy probably got lots of money too from all the seasons of doing that. That show gets tons of syndication.
That show is really good in reruns.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that and Psych are both really.
And
really
he
good
does. That's a good show. And he does Broadway too. Yeah, Tony Shalhoub.
Yep. All right. And Mary sent me this picture the other day. It's just Drake posing with all of the bras that have been thrown to him on stage.
I'm sure plenty of bras were sent or thrown his way before this one chick went viral, though.
Apparently.
This seems fake. It's got to be fake.
Yeah.
What I don't understand about throwing your bra at someone on stage is then a couple of things are true. One, you probably paid a lot of money for it because nice bras are expensive. Two, you're probably wearing something that's your favorite because you're going out for a fun night and now you don't have your favorite thing anymore. And then also for the rest of the night, now you have no undergarments for the whole rest of the night.
Well, if you plan ahead, you pack a backup bra that you put on after you throw the initial bra.
You bring a throwaway.
Or
that
you
throw
bring
on
the
stage.
bra that you don't actually want, or you buy one solely for the purpose of throwing it on
Maybe
stage.
if you have one in
sell
your
them.
pocket like that, that sort of makes more sense. Like, oh, here's a bra I bought. I will throw it at you. But I'm not throwing
It's more of it's a symbolic
my
thing.
nice one.
You know, I wouldn't do that. They're way
wouldn't
too
do that
expensive.
either.
You should
For
sell
real.
them.
They're like
sell fake
He's
ones,
like,
like just
don't
paper."
throw me any Walmart bras. That's below.
He calls them out. He's like, "That's
My
That's not
standards.
bougie enough. Just no, none of that. None of that." Okay. All right. If you want to know if Taylor Swift is running the world, she is, because they're predicting $100 million opening for her movie.
It became profitable on the first day that they were selling tickets.
Yep.
And it's because she didn't go through the route of giving it to a studio, one of the Hollywood studios. She did a direct deal with AMC Theaters without giving studios the heads up, and they're apparently very mad about it. It's a very convenient timing with the strikes, too. Like, it's kind of a strike solidarity move, but she would have done it anyway because it makes her more money.
How is it a solidarity move?
Because they don't want to. They're not working with the studios.
Profits to the studios. Because if she did work with studios to release this, she wouldn't be able to promote it if she still wants to be in SAG-AFTRA, which I think she is.
She would have to be if she worked on industry projects. So just by being in Amsterdam, she's in SAG because she has a speaking line.
So isn't it more of like a strike breaking move? Because it's like, we can get you content even though there's a strike.
Well, this is but it's not getting the studios the content. It's getting the theaters the content.
Yeah.
Getting the theaters and so then the theaters wouldn't pressure the studios
exactly.
to negotiate the strike.
It also means
Swifties didn't think ahead that far.
Okay.
we've gotten some really funny, like anytime we talk about Taylor Swift, if there's a segment, like it's like they always come in with like these like insane corrections. It's like, get it right. Her first album came out in 2006, and then this, like, and they go through like a timeline. The comments like this long, and it's they're very dedicated.
Not everyone is like religiously dedicated to Taylor Swift, and that's fine. Also, her stock price rose to $13 per share.
Wait, Taylor Swift is publicly traded?
I believe so.
Are you serious?
I don't know. I saw that headline. Her lucky number, if you guys don't know, is 13. Her @ on Twitter is Taylor Swift 13. It's beginning to be a little bit. It smells of witchcraft.
AMC stock.
AMC's stock went up to $13
I was
per
like,
share.
I can buy Taylor Swift. Let's go.
I know. I'm thinking like, I want stuff.
Probably thanks to the Eras Tour film doing so well when they don't have anything else to release.
But this article says AMC stock drops like a rock despite Taylor Swift ticket sales down $5 in just 24 hours.
Damn.
Man, we can get stonks too. Like now she needs to do a thing with GameStop. We'll get stonks too.
Do you think she sold her soul?
You mean like Jack Johnson on that crossroads to the devil?
Or did some weird...
God, I haven't thought about Jack
Do you think
Johnson
she did some weird black magic ritual?
No, it's the power of white women. It's the power of pumpkin spice latte white women in society. I saw a thing
with
the
like
other,
leggings.
I saw a thing the other day. It was like the Milano cookies with made of pumpkin spice latte.
I do like Milano cookies, but the regular kind.
Yeah. And I was just like, don't tell me that capitalism doesn't benefit white women if this product exists. It does. And it's disgusting.
Pumpkin spice is incredibly overrated. I don't understand the hype.
I've never had one of those things.
Also, who goes to AMC? We don't go to AMC ever. No. We go to a different theater, which allows me to recline.
Our local branch.
No, it is too. It's like, because I've talked to several people who've never heard of that chain of theaters. So
really, we're supporting small businesses.
Yeah. Even if their website is impossible to get.
If their website sucks, it just shows that they're a mom and pop type joint. You know what I mean?
Yep. So good for Taylor Swift. Also, Libby wrote an article about Billy Corgan.
I did write.
Do you want to tell everybody what this was about?
Yeah. So
The article says, "I forgive you, Billy Corgan."
What did he do?
Forgive you, Billy Corgan.
What did he ever do?
Who was
to
the
you?
leading singer of Smashing Pumpkins.
Well, in 1994, I went to Lollapalooza in Charlestown, West Virginia, and I was tripping on Felix the Cat Blotter, and I got lost, and I was crowd surfing, and I got lost, and I lost my wallet, and I lost my boyfriend. And I didn't know where the car was. And then Billy Corgan said, "We're Generation Nothing." That's what he said. And I was like, oh my God, that's really freaked out.
Why did he say that?
Why did he say that? So I actually have been thinking about that since 1994. And I stopped listening to all the Pumpkins records, which I loved the Pumpkins. And even after my little brother started listening to the Pumpkins years later, he's 12 years younger than me, I still wasn't listening to them. I was like, no, I hate Billy Corgan. He said, "We're Generation Nothing."
By the way, if they don't make a Smashing Pumpkin Spice latte, they're really missing out on the
Ooh,
branding.
that's
Really badly.
creative.
Wow, that's actually.
They
I
should
don't
have done
think
that.
they would like. I don't think
Probably
this
not.
Smashing
He runs
Pumpkins
a
would like
wrestling
that.
company now.
Right?
They're definitely mainstream enough
Yeah.
that would go over well,
Yeah.
but
So I thought about it for a long time, and I realized, and it was, I mean, he's a Gen Xer, I'm a Gen Xer, and that was sort of like that was the demographic of Lollapalooza, right? Like it started in, Perry Farrell started it in 1991. I went to that one in near Boston where I live.
yeah, I was thinking like, why would Lollapalooza make a stop at Charlestown, West Virginia?
It was at the racetrack. Well, you know,
That
it
would
was
never happen
interesting.
again.
I was researching for this story because I wanted to write about it finally. Because someone on Instagram who follows my Instagram, I had made some random comment, and they were like, "You really should give the Pumpkins another chance." And I was like, "Okay, I will." And so I downloaded all their records again, and I was like, "Oh my God, these are such good records." And so I started listening to it again. But when I started looking into it, because I just wanted to write about that experience, I was like, oh my goodness, that's in Charlestown, West Virginia. That's near where I live now. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And it was the summer of 94. I was at my mom's house in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, before I went back to college that fall. And my boyfriend and I, we had not wanted to go to the Philly Lollapalooza. And then all our friends were like, oh my God, Courtney Love came. You guys really missed it. And we were like, oh, well, let's go to the nearest, closest, next one. And it was Charlestown. I had no idea that that's where it was. In retrospect, we had been driving down, and it was all these little country roads. I remember making up stories about one of the houses that we passed because we were stuck in traffic for a really long time. So I just kept staring at this house. And eventually I wrote a play called Overnight that was sort of like about that house and what I imagined went on in that house. And now I live here. I live really close.
It's a cool connection.
So what was it about? What was it about his commentary on Gen X that you think was
Also,
so?
like, what was the reaction from the audience compared to yours?
I don't remember the reaction from the audience. It was dark. It was muddy, if I recall.
Also,
and
it feels
I
like
literally had a head full of acid. Like I was very self-involved by design, like on purpose. And I was freaked out because I didn't know. I had no idea how to get anywhere. I had no wallet. I had no boyfriend. I had no car. Like I had no idea what I was going to do.
And those comments would have been par for the course as grunge came in.
It was
and
very-
and it was a
yeah.
lost generation thing. And at least once a concert, whether it's Kurt Cobain or Billy Corgan, you probably would have gotten some type of doomerist claim
Right.
about the generation you're
But
living in.
I didn't want to be
could
nothing.
yeah.
I didn't want us to be nothing. You know, I love these kids that I came up with. I love sort of our weird ethos. We were already kind of nothing. Like we were already a very forgotten group of people. There weren't that many of us because we were, you know, when we were born, you had abortion came into effect. You had much more reliable birth control, and you had the Vietnam War. So a bunch of us never even had the chance to exist at all. And then when we were kids, we were basically raised by boomers who were very 1980s me generation, very self-absorbed. There was a lot of coming home by yourself. You know, there was a lot of like, go out and play and don't come home till the street lights come on, and then you come home 10 minutes late and now you're too late, so you don't get to have dinner. Like now you're punished. It was very like, looking back on it, there was a certain amount of innocence to it, but it was also, we all learned to be independent really quickly, like learned to be resilient very quickly. There was not a lot of, you never met anyone's parents. You know, you'd like go hang out.
As a millennial Gen X cusper,
Yeah.
are you finding this relatable right now?
when I was growing up, not only did we get kicked out of the house, I was basically say go play in the park. I lived by Potawatomi Park. I still remember it to this day. And my dad would just...
is that Wisconsin?
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
My dad would whistle like a dog to get me to come home at night.
And it worked?
And yes, like my dad was an incredible whistler. And so it's just go out, don't get in trouble. And that went into adulthood. I mentioned on the show yesterday, we were talking about sign language before the show. I said I took 2 years of sign language, but unfortunately, because I was allowed to essentially do whatever I wanted in high school and didn't have a curfew. First period, unfortunately, got slept through a lot of the time. And if there's one class you can't sleep through, it's sign language, right? So the point being that, like, as long as my grades weren't awful and I wasn't coming home in the back of cop cars, I was given a lot of freedom and a lot of trust. I had a job. I was out skating every night till 2 a.m. I would come back and then have to fall asleep by 4, get up at 7 to go to school. But as long as you weren't getting in trouble and you were fine, there was a lot of freedom there. That was part of it.
I had this bike, and I loved my 10-speed bike. It was my favorite thing. So whenever I got grounded, they would like take my bike, and I wasn't allowed to have it, and that killed me. Yeah. But I would always, I got lunch money every day. Now, like, you sign up for an account, and your kid's lunch just goes on an account, and then you pay it periodically. But I would always take the leftover bits of my lunch money and save it up. And then I would go ride my bike to the general store, the store called Mayette's, and I would buy gobstoppers. And then I would go ride to where the reservoir was, and there was this little waterfall, and I would go sit under a tree and read for hours and eat all of my Willy Wonka candy. And I'm pretty sure gobstoppers used to be bigger, because I will occasionally buy them. And I'm like, why are these Jawbreakers tiny?
It's because we got bigger. We grew
I know,
up.
but even reconciling for that, I think they are smaller.
You know what else I miss? When you could buy a 20-ounce soda and win a free one under the cap, and you didn't have to check online. You just handed them the cap and they gave you the soda.
That was better too.
Life was better back then. Mary will never understand. No. She's just too young. She'll never get it. So
I was in the helicopter parent generation.
Oh, it's destroying America.
Me and my friends weren't like allowed to do anything. I guess I had freedom, but not nearly the level of freedom you guys are talking about.
Well, when I moved in with my mom in Philadelphia, so my parents were divorced, and they were divorced for a long time. And then my dad's second marriage ended up getting messed up. And then, a judge was like, you're moving to Philadelphia. And I was like, okay. So then when I moved to Philly, my mom was an attorney. She practiced securities law, and she was very busy. She was never around. She was always doing like high-powered lady boss stuff, you know? And so she'd be like, hi, honey, do you need anything? I'd be like, no, I'm fine. She'd be like, here's $20. And she would just give me $20 like almost every day. And that was amazing.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
It's a lot of money back then.
It was a huge sum of money. Yeah. And then we'd go out on the weekends, and I'd like go to the Philly Record Exchange. I just would always be buying Morrissey records and stuff.
Big part of it for me was also like at that time period when my parents got divorced and I had all this freedom was when I found skating, so they didn't have to worry about me because I was doing something. I mean, technically what I was doing is illegal every single day, but because you're doing it in public property. But it was a sport in which you're challenging yourself to do something. You're very focused inward on that activity, the industry around it. So they had essentially like an activity babysitter that was able to I didn't do the stupid stuff till later. So
I used to just always in Philly. I used to always just go to shows. There was this there was the all ages club called Revival, and I used to always go down there and go dancing with my friends
and listen to Billy Corgan.
What
the heck is an all ages club like?
It was there was no bar.
That's it.
The bar was on the second floor, and you couldn't go there.
X is on
Was
the
there
hands.
a bar? I don't even remember if there was a bar. I was just like literally like drunk on music. I wasn't doing any drugs in high school.
Good times.
I didn't do drugs until way later. Well, I had this weird deal with myself because when I was 12, I realized I wanted to do drugs.
and you're like, but not till later.
Naturally, of course.
I was like, there was this health class in middle school where we had to learn about all of the different drugs.
And they made it sound really fun.
Well, what I realized was it doesn't have to be lethal. And I was like, oh, no way.
It's like,
and there would be these people that would come in and they'd be like, oh, I was in jail and I just really like getting high. And they would describe what it was like to get high. And I'd be like, that sounds great.
Yeah.
It
The
reminds me like,
consequences of the DARE program.
they would talk
right?
about the DARE program, but we're like, they did lie though. They made it seem like people were just going to be walking up to you, offering you free drugs. And
I know. Could you imagine?
That was
like,
never my
wish.
experience. Like,
They like open up a trench coat.
yeah, that's literally,
What do you want?
That's what they did in the thing where he goes like this, and it's like this, and this. I'm like, I never met that guy, nor do I know where you buy the drug trench coat.
No.
Like I would love
what's up
that.
with that?
I would love that, but don't do it, guys.
People describe
because,
Las Vegas that way.
yeah, just don't do
I
it.
never had that experience in Vegas either.
I might have found myself to like a decent job like this a lot faster if I hadn't gone through that phase. So just don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Sound of Freedom is back in the news because they had screenings canceled on a U.S. military base over false claims of a QAnon conspiracy in the movie. As we know, those claims are absolute BS. But they canceled it at two different ones, right? So it says they pointed out that the words of human trafficking and exploitation consultant Sonetta Sunny Slaughter, who asked, "What is the
kind of
idea
name is that?
and the idea and the ideology behind putting this on a military installation? Is this some form of indoctrination into an ideology of extremism?" While accusing the film's star Jim Caviezel of having QAnon ties. So these were supposed to happen at the end of one on August 28th and then another one on October 19th. This is absolutely bonkers.
It is bonkers.
It's bonkers.
What does it mean to have ties to QAnon? Like, you have him in your contacts?
he goes, "Oh, you want me
You're
to call
just
Q?"
buddies?
He calls Q. Yeah.
He's just buddies with Q? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
The
Also,
adrenochrome comment is the only thing they have to point to, but...
the other thing you can't forget is that the U.S. military bases hosted plenty of drag queen story hours and drag shows for kids, and that it took military families going public with that. Like, I remember
Are they
a woman
like
getting
really
in
the
touch with me,
target
right?
audience for that type of thing?
The
It doesn't
people-
seem like military families would be welcoming.
There was a family that got in touch with me. They were on a base overseas, and they were like, "You need to publicize this. I can give you all the information." I went finding it all on Facebook and whatever, but they were horrified by that. And now they're saying this is ideological, extremism. Like, what about having half-naked men dressed like ladies reading to your kids about how they can change sex?
Yeah.
And another thing about this whole thing is funny because like the movie's doing well overseas now, and this box office expert is shocked because they keep making the mistake. They keep calling it a faith-based film. It's not a faith-based film at all, like in any way, shape, or form.
It's a DHS ought to do its job.
Yeah,
film. That's what it's about.
It says we're told that the film only had a 1% chance of being successful, but it was our audience that came out and defended the movie, and it's thanks to that audience that we survived the attacks from the critics, says the guy who wrote the screenplay. It made $182.58 million, despite having a budget of $15 million, which is absolutely incredible. But they're saying it's over-indexing in Latin America. They're like, well, we knew it would do good in Mexico because the director and the producer are both live there, both from there. But they're like, it's over-indexing in Latin America. I'm like, they're Catholic countries.
Also, a bunch of the film is in Spanish.
Yes.
So, like, when a major big film comes out in Spanish, like, if you speak Spanish, you're going to want to go see that.
But
Did that happen for Blue Beetle?
Yeah, and he makes the point that he says the film is faith-based, and normally faith-based only does well here in America because America is the only religious country in the history of the world.
America is less
Right.
of a religious country than anywhere in South America.
That's true.
There's a $20 one there from Gordon Shumway.
Libby, you're bringing up memories. Growing up as a Gen Xer was different. Lots of time alone. The Cold War and the thought of nuclear holocaust. I watched the Challenger explode in the 5th grade.
Oh my God,
no
me
safe
too.
space afterwards.
Me too. I think I was also in 5th grade, and they wheeled in they had the AV came in and set it up, and they wheeled in the TV. And Krista McAuliffe was from New Hampshire, and that was right near us because we were in Massachusetts, and we all watched it. And the teachers were horrified because they lift off. It was very exciting. A teacher's going into space, like she's amazing. And then the next thing you know, they were literally all dead. They all exploded right in front of our eyes. And so then 9/11 happened.
I did see.
But the weird thing about like 9/11 is that they also showed kids like on the AV
Yes.
I was in
television.
I was in
Wait,
the
they
ninth
showed you
grade.
guys? Wait, they
rolled them
showed
in-
you guys?
Well, no, I wasn't.
I was in ninth grade.
I was a baby, but
You were a baby.
I was in ninth grade.
What I hear from a lot of millennials is that like the teachers wheeled in the TVs to show them what was going on during 9/11.
Why would you do that? That's weird.
I know, that is weird. But at least with the Challenger, it's like, oh, we didn't expect it.
It was supposed to be a big surprise fun thing.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
teachers in space.
The 9/11 thing doesn't make as much sense.
That's very weird.
They showed it to us.
They showed you 9/11.
But I get it. It's like
homeroom, yeah.
they think, it's a historical event.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So weird.
So,
That's my birthday.
Is it? Wow. Okay. That's kind of. Is that depressing? Is it a little depressing?
It was never a great birthday because it was always like sort of the first week of school. You know?
Right? Like, that's
Right.
So it'd be-
screwed.
Right.
Yeah.
So like
Rude.
my cousin would complain that her birthday was Christmas Eve and she'd get like joint Christmas birthday
Yeah.
presents. And I was like, girl, I got school supplies for my birthday. Like,
Oh, that's
hello.
just wrong.
It's wrong.
I did see an amazing meme. It says like, it showed the kids when COVID was going on, and they had the kids they put like the panels of like plexiglass up,
Yes.
and it says America's never been more irrational. It says America during the Cold War. It shows the kids under the desk to stop from the nuclear
Right?
explosion. It's like
Did
we've
you guys
always
ever
been
see the
irrational.
documentary Atomic Cafe? This was this really fascinating documentary about the 50s and 60s and all the kids hiding under their desks and like the way that atomic culture happened in the US. Like, do you know, early on, I think it was, I want to say like the 40s and the 40s maybe, they actually made makeup that was radioactive because they were like, jumping on the atomic trend. And my grandma's friends wore some of this makeup. They ended up with like, I think it was it was like whatever, they advertised it that way, but
What?
they ended up with like big holes in their face. And she was always like, Libby, never wear any foundation, never put any weird stuff on your face. And I was like, deal. That's a total deal.
It's like, didn't they have like the things like you could buy like a kit where you could do at-home X-rays in the 50s and
You
stuff
could
like
do
that?
all kinds of weird stuff. They didn't know that it was quite so dangerous.
So bad.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sort of convinced that the anti-nuclear energy thing is an anti-nuclear thing because the baby boomers were terrified because they were forced to hide under their desks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That
what
makes
it was.
sense.
And now your kids are going to have to play the clarinet with a mask with the thing cut out.
Again.
Well, they're already starting
That
to
is
proper.
crazy than the desk thing, though,
here's the
to be
thing.
fair.
Cutout.
Yeah.
Whoopi, I had somebody rationalize this to me, like right when all of this started. And not
Whoopi
not
in the
that,
mask
but so,
by herself right now?
so-
this
right-
thing?
The other day. So not just that, but when COVID first started, I posted, and I never post about politics on social media. I just don't. I don't care. It's not interesting to me. But it was local to my situation in Minnesota where they were making like the local Dakota County government workers wear masks during Zoom calls.
That is
And
the
I'm like,
dumbest.
And I'm like, this is insane. And I had somebody say, they're just trying to get people used to seeing other people with masks. It makes perfect sense. And
I thought that must be what Whoopi is doing too. Total virtue signaling trash.
yeah. And I was just like, you can't rationalize with these people. They're insane. They're bonkers.
insane.
And Whoopi doing it, make no mistake. The reason why you're going to start hearing cases about, oh, look, celebrity I know has got COVID because they're going to ramp up lockdown. They're going to try and ramp up lockdowns again. It started with Tom Hanks in 2019. They're like, Tom Hanks has COVID. If Tom
Right?
Hanks can get COVID, so can you.
This time it's going to be the Ebola-like disease that was at Burning Man.
Can't wait. Can't wait. Let's do it.
Well, did you see Natalie Winters from War Room posted this thing? It was contracts for the federal government to buy more COVID tests.
You can't win.
Lovely.
You can't win.
I don't want any part of. I don't want any part of this at all.
Nope. Go see Sound of Freedom, though, if you have not yet seen it, or go see it again. Go to Latin America and watch it there to boost those sales. Or we did this thing yesterday. Did you see the video of the lady who's like, "What are you still doing in America? Just fly to Thailand." Like it's
What?
like, and she got a bunch of
What?
girls. She's like a travel influencer, and she's like, "Guys, what are you still?" She's like in a like a GoPro in like
I would literally never go to Thailand.
in the ocean.
I don't have an interest in
I don't
Thailand.
have
And she's
no
like-
desire
she's like, it's
at
like-
all.
Seems
What are you
like too
doing?
much weird sex stuff. Honestly.
Yeah.
She's like, "What are you still doing in America? It's 5. You could be 5:30 p.m. in Thailand right now." And people are like, "I have a job. I can't just get
My
up
job
and go."
isn't to fly to
Yes.
Thailand.
She goes, "Just book the plane ticket. Book the plane ticket." And everyone's like, "That's not a thing."
Well,
That's
she's
not a
just
thing.
getting
It is a
paid by
thing if
their
it's-
like resorts and
Yeah.
touring companies, I guess. But
That's her job is to tell everyone
yeah,
else to
I
go
just
to Thailand.
associate it with like stinky tropical fruits, weird sex stuff, humidity, probably weird insects,
Oh, I bet the insects are weird.
and passport bros. That's what I think of
What's
when
a
I think of Thailand.
passport, bro.
It's a red pill term, but it's guys who go to other countries, like American guys that go to other countries to find wifeable women.
Because you Western women are just not worth it anymore.
Or they're just sex tourists.
They're basically sex tourists.
Where they either stay there with the woman they choose to marry or they move her over to the U.S.
Right.
They're like, look, these Western women, they want to talk on podcasts now. We can't do that. I need a woman who's just going to stay home.
They're just committed sex tourists.
Exactly. There's a $20 one there from Kevin Comas.
He said, I hate theaters and Amazon, YouTube, etc. won't allow you to rent it on their sites.
Talking Sound of Freedom. So we covered a story recently about a movie coming out. And I believe that Sound of Freedom is going to be exclusively done through a service called Movies Plus. Yeah. So if you look up on there, I don't think it's not out yet because they're going to wait for the international release before it goes pay VOD. And my guess is it's going to do fine on that platform as well. A lot of people are going to be willing to, like yesterday we were talking about like Oprah Winfrey, about Oprah and The Rock getting pushback for telling people to donate their money.
I thought that was bogus too.
I was just like, look, because people are saying, why don't you donate more money? I'm like, how much is enough?
Well, they
I don't
did
want to
donate
tell
like 10 million.
But what they want is for Oprah to give up all of the land that she's bought in Hawaii.
And that's what the comments
Give
were.
it back to indigenous people, whatever the hell that means. Like, who are you going to sell it to?
But the point is that conservative audiences are very, very good about supporting the things, financially supporting the things that they believe in, right? Like yesterday on IRL, Terrence was talking about his pancakes and he was like sold out. By the end of the episode, they were sold out because they get behind things they want to support.
Love anti-woke
Just
pancakes.
like the Minnesota Bail Fund. Kamala Harris got behind the Minnesota Bail Fund, pushed it on every, but they do that on the left too, is my point. Like they just push different things. They don't necessarily push small businesses the same way.
As long as they're like, we'll bail you out of jail so you can go support criminals. A big business.
Right.
Yeah.
Support them by looting.
All right.
Because you want to feed your family.
Let's yes, you get lots of bread at the Nike store.
Right. For sure.
You do. That's
Don't forget the Louis Vuitton store.
All right, cute of the day or cringe of the day?
Let's start with cute.
Okay, we got one cute of the day submission. Guys, if you have a cute of the day submission, if you have pets that you want the world to see, please submit them to me at Brett Dasovic on Twix, hashtag PCC Pets. Please add the hashtag, tag me in it so that everybody can see it. This is from Cam V. He says, more Scotty Combat using PCC Pets in cute of the day to get more viewers at the local dog park and hopefully more submissions for you guys. They are fighting. Roughhousing.
Yeah. Pun intended.
I like it. All right.
I think that is cute.
So guys, go ahead and submit them there, and we will feature them on the show. And then Mary found this one. This is Zendaya. I don't know how to pronounce this name. Ayo Edebiri.
The girl that voiced April O'Neil in TMNT recently,
and
Quinta Brunson. Tom Holland is in this video following behind Zendaya, recording Zendaya on his phone, like following a few steps behind like a good submissive boyfriend should.
Here we go.
Thank you, baby. Holy shit. Oh, Tom Holland.
He's Spider-Man. Why is he doing that?
Yeah, I need them to break up. I need Zendaya to dump Tom Holland, and I need him to suffer.
Is that the work core that people were talking about, or the fashion style with the oversized?
I forgot what it was
business
called.
core.
Business core.
Business core.
Yeah.
I mean,
looks like you're wearing your dad's suit to work.
Women need to stop wearing the oversized blazers. It looks awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is giving the same vibe as that picture of Rihanna with A$AP Rocky.
Which you hated.
Yeah, I hated it. I hate this too. It's the same exact energy.
Yeah.
That beta energy. Like, you're not a fan. You're her boyfriend. Why aren't you walking together? Like, you're also not one of the paparazzi. What are you doing?
It is weird that they're not working together, yeah.
She's with the girls. He's just
It's
Ken.
like he's still starstruck that he's dating Zendaya when he's also a star.
Is that how you say it? Zendaya?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
He's just Ken. And
He's just
she's
Tom.
Barbie.
That's sad.
He's just Tom. All right, guys. If Spider-Man can't, be a man, then I don't know who can. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and get.
You should tweet that.
Sounds good. Guys, now that we are 46 minutes into the show. Let's get right into it, shall we? Mary, what is going on with Dillon Danis, Nina Agdal, and Logan Paul?
I really thought that we had put this topic to rest, but it keeps heating up. So the Logan Paul Dillon Danis fight is still upcoming in October, but it might not happen anymore because Nina Agdal this whole time has not been sitting by while her reputation is dragged through the mud. She has filed a lawsuit against Dillon Danis for humiliation, emotional distress, and reputational harm because he keeps posting photos of her with other men than her fiance. And I mean, I don't really know how this breaks the law in any way, but she claims
he did post an uncensored photo of her, I guess, with
I didn't see this at all. I think he probably deleted it.
Believe it. No, they made his the company that's sponsoring the fight made him delete it.
Really?
Yes. I looked extensively. Don't worry. I did my due diligence. I looked for the uncensored photo. Sadly, I couldn't find it, but I put in the work.
There are a lot of other explicit photos of her that he's posted in addition to that one. But she says that it was criminal that he posted that. He posted it twice to his Twitter account, and he had to take it down. Danis posted the photograph entirely uncensored from his Twitter account without plaintiff's consent. Later that day, Danis reposted the explicit photograph in order to maximize the number of views it would receive. And in response, she's also filed a restraining order against him. I'm not sure when he would have gotten the opportunity to be in her vicinity anyway.
I love the idea. I like the idea of him following her around, like, see this photo of you? See this photo of you? See this photo of you?
He is effectively doing that through the internet.
So where do you get the photos?
They're all publicly available images, which is why this is more confusing.
Yep.
So she's mad that he's sharing images that she had already posted or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. This
or
is
paparazzi photos from from the past.
This feels like a fever dream now, but it's giving Eliza Blue.
Yes.
Is this like one of those body count situations where she just doesn't like being confronted with her past relationships?
Basically, yes. I mean,
he also says that she leaked the information to TMZ. His quote is, "This clout whore sent the details to TMZ, exposing her true character."
He also tweeted yesterday, Nina Agdal has filed a massive lawsuit against me, filed a restraining order against me, and is seeking prison time. So the fight is in jeopardy if I'm in jail. This is actually wild, but I won't stop. F the system. Come get me. Logan Paul is a dead man walking.
F the system, man.
But seriously, if the fight does get called off, Logan still loses.
Well, because he's clearly with this girl who sucks.
Yeah.
Where's the photo? Mary was pointing this photo of Logan and Nina.
But if you can't face your own past, like, that's on you.
Look at this photo where he's like trying to kiss her and she's pushing his face away. Like, she clearly isn't even that into him.
That's really gross. That's really a shame.
You know, and she made him wait.
It was like 2 weeks. That's what they said in the podcast. They waited 2 weeks, and Logan Paul thought, like, that's a long time.
Wait, they waited 2 weeks after they started dating to have sex? Is that?
It might have been after they met.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
2 weeks? Supposedly after they started dating, it was only a matter of weeks before they had sex. But to Logan Paul, that was like, he was aghast at that. Like, I've never waited that long. Like, he thought it was weird.
I think that attitude is weird.
I do too. But I mean, clearly based on her past, she's not been the type of woman who waits that long.
So she like meets you and then she's like, let's go.
So she made an exception for him, and now everyone's calling him a cuck for it because she's belongs to the streets.
You guys are you ladies tell me, is this something that if she meets this guy and she has real feelings for him, that she would make him wait because she has feelings for him?
We don't know if that's the case.
But I'm just asking for a woman's perspective
some of this.
on this.
Okay, so I went down like a rabbit hole recently into all of this stuff where women are like, I slept with 500,000 guys and now my fiance thinks I'm gross or whatever.
Yeah,
there's just boils on her vagina at that point.
Anyway, that's horrifying. But what I don't understand is this attitude where it's like, well, those guys didn't matter, so I slept with them right away.
So I gave them what they wanted.
But you do matter, so I'm gonna like invest in this relationship. But like, if you're not invested in your own self-worth, why would anybody else treat you with any kind of respect at all? That just seems so weird. That just seems really bizarre.
Yeah. I think the worst thing that Dillon Danis posted of her was that video where she was talking about, here's what her court document described it as, a video of her from more than 6 years ago where she talked about her desire for intimacy during a period of celibacy. It was a lot more explicit than that, but basically she was saying she was like struggling and losing her sanity.
I saw that.
Because she hadn't had sex for the longest time since she started.
In case the people haven't seen it.
Might have been a week.
Here we go. In case people haven't seen this video, here it is.
By the way, I'm very proud of myself. This is the longest I've ever gone without sex since I started. Obviously, it's driving me crazy.
Obviously.
I am struggling. I need penis inside of me. ASAP. Like, all I want is like a big fat sausage just destroying my body. So, if any of you guys know a good dick that doesn't have STDs on it, I'll take it. Right here.
So she's claiming that Dillon Danis hacked her Snapchat to get into her Snapchat archive and post this video.
Did she post it herself?
She posted it herself. It likely was submitted to him through some friend of hers who saved this.
Yep.
It would be kind of crazy if he went to the length of hacking her social media to get
Dillon
this video.
Danis does not look like a hacker to me.
No,
none of the yellow sunglasses and slick back hair like a 90s hacker would have. And it's just...
Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions.
Well, you know.
Back again to take me down.
Western women. It's a joke.
So,
it's a joke.
I mean, what mostly peaceful Latinas were talking about, it still stands, in my opinion. Like, there are guys who date hoes, marry hoes, and they know that they're doing it, but sometimes they just see the trade-off as worth it because she is probably really good looking, she's extroverted, she's nice and pleasant to be around. Because she's, interacted with so many men, the hoes often know how to make a man feel special. That's what they said.
But not special enough to make him stay around.
I mean, sometimes they do, though. That's their point, at least.
I see.
And that's supposedly why Logan Paul looked past the fact that she's been with so many guys, including high-profile celebrities, and gave a ring on her finger because he thought the trade-off was worth it. At this point, he might be reconsidering. But his only option at this point is, you either break off the engagement or you stand for the girl, you defend the girl, and you go into the fight and you win the fight. That's the only option.
You either need to
two ways you can
save
go with that.
her honor with your
But you can't
blood.
do an underhanded emotional distress lawsuit over stuff that is getting posted that you can find on Google Images.
Yeah,
that makes you seem
very
pathetic, especially if the fight gets called off because of it.
It also makes him seem weak that she's doing all of this lawfare stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, don't do that. I'll take care of it. And he should be saying, I'll take care of it when we get in the ring.
Right. Or, I mean, I think for sure redemption is a thing. And so, if you've had a lifestyle like this, I think you can, repent and be redeemed and all of that kind of stuff. I believe that that's true. Yeah. But it doesn't seem like that's what they're doing here.
She's I mean, it does feel in a lot of ways like even if that's true, like it does feel like he's kind of like she feels like she's settling for him. And
you don't want to be with a lady who's settling for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw this tweet the other day that said, if you're single and don't want to be single, you need to either increase your value or lower your standards. If you do either one of these things, you're not going to be single anymore. And while that might be maybe pragmatically true, no one wants to know that you're with them because you lowered your standards and stooped so low to consider them as a prospect. That's insulting. So the positive way to go about it is increase your value in other ways and become worthy of the person that you want to be with.
And also maybe reevaluate what you think value is in the person that you're seeking to be with.
Do you think this is true? That what happened here is the type of thing where she lowered her standards for him, so therefore she just doesn't have the respect for him that she would have for somebody else. But at the same time, is it respect to herself to sleep with a bunch of dudes.
But what kind of
early
standards
on.
do you have
Yeah.
if you're asking your Snapchat to provide you with a large dick that has no STDs on it?
Yeah.
Well,
Like, what are your standards there?
The standard is no STDs. That's the standard.
That's the standard. So are we to understand then Logan Paul has STDs?
I think she's just been for a long time high on the validation that being a hot supermodel with money gives you, and not thinking about those consequences. And she also seems to be a high testosterone woman who's probably hypersexual for that reason. And the cycle continues. The longer
None of
you
that stuff
desensitize yourself
lasts.
to that type of behavior, you're right, it doesn't last. And you know, even while she's still here in her prime of her looks and her fame, it's catching up to her.
You have to figure out a way to keep yourself entertained for your whole life, regardless of anybody else. You know, you have to like have enough going on internally. It doesn't seem like these people have that.
You know what they should do? They should have Nina fight Dillon Danis' wife or girlfriend. That's what they should do. They should have like a tag team match.
Dillon Danis' girlfriend just gave birth to their baby,
That's what I'm
by
saying.
the way. So I don't know if she is in any shape to be going in the ring in the next month. But
Disco Jensen in the chat says TLC had a song about it named Creep. Red Light Special by TLC is the greatest TLC song of all time. Don't at me. I'm just saying. I had to.
You know what they need to do? Logan Paul needs to get Nina pregnant, because you can't be mean to a pregnant lady.
Oh, I don't think Dillon Danis care. I don't think he cares.
People are mean to pregnant ladies all the
Yeah,
time.
I don't think that's going to stop him from doing
It's just
that.
especially egregious to be mean to a pregnant lady.
And so it's I am just kind of fascinated by the part about her making him like about the psychology of like you give it to a bunch of guys you don't respect for nothing right
that's
away.
weird, yeah.
And then you're like, well, I like this guy, so I think I'll make him wait for a period of time. Or is it
For
that
some
she's making
arbitrary
herself,
number of weeks
yeah.
where you still
apparently.
barely know the person.
Is the idea that like if she had done so on the first date without getting to know them, it ruins the ability to like find out if you like them first. Therefore, she's looking to somehow mix together both finding out you like them as a person and have that culminate in something special. Therefore, it increases the ability that you can pair bond.
But isn't he going to know about all of these other experiences that she's had?
But he
especially-
didn't. He certainly does
he
now.
He didn't know about it?
We don't know.
We don't know what he knew.
But I mean, she's a famous supermodel, and the paparazzi photos of her with people like Leonardo DiCaprio are all over the internet. There's no way that he wouldn't know. And he claims now that she's an angel who has only had long-term boyfriends her whole life. And he was the lucky guy that bagged her once and for all. And he's proud of that. But I think that he was too late to the punch. Like, he should have been, you know, you got to either commit to one way or the other. You leave her or you defend her from the very start. But he waited and wanted to see if it would go away, and it's only getting worse and
it's
worse.
just getting worse, yeah.
Which just makes him seem like a bad fiance for not coming to her defense very quickly.
Also, it seems like a bogus lawsuit.
It is. And she also is looking for unspecified damages, but wants no less than $150,000 per violation of federal law prohibiting the sharing of intimate images.
She's like, look, for every line I said about wanting a large this, I want $150,000. That's what she says.
To
But that's
destroy
not-
her body.
Yeah.
She's referring to...
And I think we could introduce her to bratwurst. I mean, you will get very fat.
No, there are
with
like
some bratwurst.
it's a weird
kielbasa.
amount of photos of her on the internet holding hot dogs. Like, it's weird.
like Obama level.
There
Have
are
you
like
seen
a
that?
lot of images of her holding hot dogs, and I just don't understand
Sorry, I'm
the-
playing with the
obsession with it. It's
really
very
funny.
weird. But she's talking
Just like
about
that's like
revenge
Bill de Blasio
porn.
and Obama. Also, lots of hot dog pictures.
She's talking about revenge porn here, right?
Yeah.
None of the stuff that he's posted, I think, is
Amounts to that.
pornographic.
No, it's not.
And none of it was privately shared to him or anyone else. It's all paparazzi photos, social media posts, things that were already publicly circulated. This is going to get dismissed, and then you're going to look like a Karen.
wonder if this stuff will become more prevalent to these, because look, between UFC and the large amount of like exhibition fights we're getting between like celebrities and social media influencers, if this is going to become even more common, because what this is essentially WWE for celebrities and influencers, right? Except for it's not.
But none of it is performance.
Yeah,
it's real.
It's so
It's like the opposite of
but it's the same level. But it's the same level of theatricality about it. So they could do this with all of this stuff. Like I said, they used to have the skits on WWE where they'd call Stephanie McMahon a whore. And that was like, and she had to be okay with that because it was written in the script that they would write about. There's like, oh, you slept with this guy, you slept with this guy, you slept with this guy. And it became part of the show. So I imagine that some of these guys will use this to their advantage, especially if it's a guy who's traditionally masculine, feels that he's a protector. How do you protect against a dude just being vicious on the internet? Like,
yeah, you can't really do anything about that.
Yep.
I think a lot of the thought process behind this, Dillon Danis and his followers reposting these images, and it's a shaming tactic, is they think because women as social creatures behave based on what is considered socially acceptable right now, that, you know, if you shame this high profile celebrity woman for her past, maybe a lot of women who see that happen will correct course going forward or avoid those behaviors when they see that it's publicly shamed.
Well, it's like women were told for this whole recent period of time that their purity doesn't matter, right? You had like,
you can be a born again virgin.
Or really
Right.
that purity doesn't exist in the first place.
You had Planned Parenthood, posting billboards and stuff about how virginity isn't even really a thing.
Yeah.
You had all of this stuff come out. And then it turns out that men do care about women's purity. And then as soon as men start caring about it, women care about it again after they've been told this whole time that it doesn't matter by all of the major leftist.
All of
movements.
those messages miss the point that like you should care about preserving your
yourself.
Purity and mental health for your own sake.
Right. It of course misses that.
And the men are shamed for wanting the purity, and the women are shamed for considering it a virtue.
Right. And then you have women who have like rehymenization surgery before they get married.
The point is, women want
so that they can say. And then there's like, I remember reading an interview about this. It was
time
like
every
in Teen
time.
Vogue or something. And it was like, then it hurts even more when you have sex the first time again. And you're like, what is even going on?
But
What is going on with this?
women want affirmation and approval for their choices. It's just fundamental to women's nature that men are the ones who take risks and don't care as much about social approval, and women care way more about receiving outside affirmation and group acceptance. And if they find out that a certain behavior will get them excluded from the herd, then maybe they will change their behaviors to conform to the herd.
Well, I don't see that changing, but I think society's gone too far that direction. I think,
But you can get way more temporary affirmation and approval from men by putting out.
Yes.
That's the key there.
Nobody's innocent in that exchange.
Yeah.
It takes two to tango, right?
But the point is it's temporary, you know?
Yep. It's at the end of the day, it's like, yes, we would love if men and women both valued their chastity, right?
Or their value to one another in a relationship.
But it's not like that anymore.
Maybe we need new language for it so people don't think of the word chastity and purity and think, oh, that's nerdy, that's stuffy and churchy.
Or just, or you make it sexy again, in which case then we're back to child trafficking.
Yeah.
Well, what Brittany Martinez of EV Magazine says is we need to make marriage sexy again. That's her point of view.
How do we do that?
That's like, that's...
Be hot, get married, post photos of it.
But I thought research said that the happiest couples are the ones who don't post each other on social, are the ones who just don't post a lot on social media together.
Is that proven?
Who knows? The study's a study, right? It could be like, you ask 10 people who don't post each other on social media. It's like, are you happy? Yes, that's the study, right? But it's like, I can see that being a thing, right? Like if you're busy being happy with the person you're with and you're not on social media all the time, and let's face it, everyone has a friend or a couple of friends that are in a relationship that you've never seen not arguing, who then the next day post a photo like, where would I be without you? I'm like, you'd be somewhere not arguing. That's where you'd be. But everyone knows
people. We certainly know those people. Many such cases.
Doth protest too much.
Many such cases.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, last time I moved, the moving company emailed me a live stream of an otter sanctuary as a thank you. Odd, but I didn't hate it.
What? That's amazing.
Very weird.
I like the idea
did you guys see the thing about otters fighting each other?
What?
So, where was this? Oh my goodness! I wish I
They
could
seem
find
like
where
such
it was.
harmless creatures.
But like some otters moved into this river, and there were already some otters there, and now there's like gangs of otters, and they swim really fast at one another, and then they have a major tussle. It's wild. Look up otter fight.
Hopefully 0 casualties.
Well, they're like, it's like their natural otter fight thing. It's like
Because they're sort of like dogs.
It's like territorial.
Yeah.
Territorial dispute between two families of smooth-coated otters.
There you go. Is that the one?
What?
Is that it?
Let's see.
I'm so confused.
Oh, this is a different one, but it sort of proves
This
my
is from
point.
2015.
Then. Yeah, this is a different one.
Why is it freaking I want to know why it's stamped.
But yeah, I
I
don't
don't
like
know.
that either. But this is a different one. The
We
one I
got
saw
a
was on Twitter. just a couple
$20
days ago.
one from Keenan Smith that says 3 to tango.
For Nina, it takes 3 to tango, I guess.
Yikes.
That's only after 3 weeks.
Isaac Martinez said, hello, Libby. What happened to your glasses?
Oh, Mary and Brett are close, and so I don't need my glasses to see them. But I have them.
Do you ever
They're in
get a
my bag.
headache in IRL? The IRL studio gives me a freaking headache. I can't even wear glasses in the IRL
I have to
studio.
wear glasses because everyone's far away.
Yeah.
So I wear glasses. But honestly, I was wearing sunglasses, and then I was coming here, and I couldn't find my real glasses, and so they're somewhere in my bag.
Or you could just wear sunglasses on the show the whole time.
Bertman
Do
style.
you want me to do
Yeah.
that?
Berman does that.
Yeah.
Braymont said, who else has seen the promos for The Golden Bachelor? Starting to see some of the fallout from the writer's strike, and it's hilarious.
I do love
What's
when
the
they
Golden
I don't know.
Bachelor?
I'm assuming
Is this
they're
just a
getting
spin,
desperate.
another
A
spin-off of The Bachelor?
Bachelor.
What makes him golden?
Yeah, what does make him golden?
It's
Is
a
it
very
like-
good question. Is it like a 27-year-old on the 27th year of the Bachelor? Therefore, it's like the golden birthday? I have no idea.
Okay.
do what-
Bachelor's
Yeah.
All-Stars.
Let's do one more.
Shane H. Wilder said, I'm sorry, I've got to be the nerd and say it was Robert Johnson, not Jack Johnson, who
Robert
sold his
Johnson.
soul at the Crossroads, also
Johnson
a member
is
of the
different.
27 Club.
Okay. There you go. Jack Johnson
for
was good too,
clearing that
though.
up for
Jack
us.
Johnson's
Yeah,
good
Robert
too.
Johnson. Do you want to know? I always get that wrong, so I appreciate you pointing that out.
All right. Let's hold off on the rest. We will come back after the fact. So,
Because Jack Johnson was a boxer, right?
Jack Johnson's also a musician. I don't know if it's the same.
But
It's
like-
obviously a different Jack Johnson,
Yeah,
I'm sure. I'm assuming. But yeah. What's going on with Nick Jonas? Sorry, Joe
Not
Jonas.
Nick Jonas.
Joe Jonas.
Brett.
They're different. Believe it or not, I wasn't the target demographic.
As the target
for...
demo for the Jonas Brothers, I understand this. So Joe Jonas has filed for divorce from his wife, Sophie Turner, after 4 years of what they call a wonderful marriage. And the PR wars have begun. Everyone on Twitter is trying to blame Joe Jonas because every time that there is a high-profile celebrity divorce, they want to blame the man. Every single time, regardless of what the facts are. For instance, Ariana Grande and Dalton Gomez.
Thank you.
Thank you. To be continued.
It's party time.
But yeah, Dalton Gomez, they're getting a divorce because he couldn't support Ariana Grande's girl boss pop star lifestyle because he's a misogynist. And Jonah Hill, he was a controlling, abusive boyfriend who didn't let his girlfriend have a social life. And we're just supposed to accept these narratives as fact because they never want the women to be in the wrong. But it's looking like this Sophie Turner and Joe Jonas situation is maybe going in the other direction because the big revelation from an anonymous source close to the couple is that Joe Jonas is the homebody. He likes to stay at home. And Sophie Turner likes to party. They have very different lifestyles. And then this headline comes out. Sophie Turner, 27, felt trapped in her marriage to Joe Jonas and wants to relive her youth after marrying and having children young. friends say, as she's seen downing shots and cocktails in Birmingham days before the singer Joe Jonas filed for divorce. So they're basically saying she felt like she didn't get to live her teen and young adult years fully because she jumped into marriage and family life too young with Joe Jonas, who is 6 years older than her, I believe.
Yeah.
And they're also painting him as a predator because when they got married, she was 23 and he was 30.
That's a totally reasonable age.
I know, but to weird stands on Twitter, they
totally
think
reasonable.
that's predatory and an old man, an old disgusting creep
She was a
taking advantage of a
25-year-old teenager.
child. Yeah, exactly.
That seems like a perfect. That actually
it's
seems
like the
a
most
pretty
normal
good,
age gap I've ever heard.
It seems like a good matchup.
Yeah.
First of all, 23, you're perfectly an adult. You get to make your own decisions.
They started dating when she was 19, got engaged about a year later, very normal timeline there, and got married a couple years after that. And because of this, she feels like, she didn't get to live the university life. She didn't get to go to clubs and get drunk. She didn't get to party with her friends.
The standard now is you spend your late teens and early 20s being a total disaster, sleeping with 500,000 different guys and getting wasted all the time.
That's happiness.
And then you're supposed to find someone who wants to tolerate you after that.
Yeah, exactly. And that party lifestyle aside.
I mean, just do all that stuff together. When you're married, do stuff together. Some nights stay home and watch Netflix and do kid stuff, and some nights go out and have fun.
There's a $20 one there.
They're rich people too. Get a babysitter.
Nannies.
It's okay. You can get a babysitter.
No,
just as long as Joe Jonas doesn't cheat with the babysitter.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
The way Ethan Hawke did.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Sue's
that.
Inspiration said, obviously, Joe Jonas and wife did not have enough deep conversations at the Waffle House.
That would have been much better.
So true.
That much of that's just being classist. They just don't want to go to Waffle House. And if they had, maybe this wouldn't be happening.
Was there a Waffle House concern?
Probably. I have no idea.
Well, she's British, so she doesn't understand the
She
value
probably doesn't know about Waffle
House.
I like Waffle House.
Yes. But yeah.
And Joe Jonas also allegedly decided to file for divorce after seeing a Ring camera footage or audio where she said or did something that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Who's the other Jonas brother? Kevin?
There's Nick and Kevin.
I'm telling you, she's like, Kevin's not the funny one. He's the hot one, and he got pissed.
Kevin was always the least favorite Jonas brother, which is why I believe he's the most well-adjusted one.
Yep, married since 2009, it said. Works in like a regular job when he's not touring.
Also, maybe don't have your house spy on you.
Yep.
Yeah, Ring cameras are creepy.
I don't like any piece of that. I never want stuff like that.
But yeah, you know what it is? It is a big part of the culture now to believe that the grass is always greener on the other side, and
that's always true, right?
But yeah. And for people that it's like there is no value anymore put on the fact that look, and again, never been married, no kids, but I do understand the idea that marriage and then making the choice to bring another life into this world and take care of it requires more than just your happiness. It requires sacrifice on your part, and your happiness no longer comes first. The happiness and the well-being of those children comes first, and in a lot of ways, you're supposed to then put the well-being and the needs of your spouse or partner on equal level with your own, right? You have to be. Yeah. You have to be confident in yourself, and you should be self-assured and mentally well in a relationship. Otherwise, it's not going to work. If you can't take care of yourself, how do you expect to be there for another person? But at the same time, it does require sacrifice. So,
but this is the age where people view potential spouses as just accessories to optimize their lifestyle, like a Peloton.
Yeah.
Like
Did you see the thing where the Peloton killed that guy?
What?
Hey, really?
Yeah, it fell on him, and it severed some essential artery.
Okay.
See, guys, don't exercise. It's a horrible idea.
I was picturing it going out of control and smoke rising and bursting into flames and immolates the man. But
have you ever seen the videos of people getting sucked into the escalators?
Oh, that is terrible.
That was my number one fear.
I don't want to see that.
I had nightmares about that all the time.
I was so it would always be on unexplained mysteries, unsolved mysteries. So is that. And
There
then
was
like
a kid that got scalped.
yeah, and just sucked into the thing. And so it's like I had a lot of years where I'm like, I'm not going on an escalator. Besides, a broken escalator is just temporarily stairs, as we know. But also there was a video of like a I couldn't tell if they like reenacted this, but it was like a baby like running with a toothbrush.
No.
And falls on its face.
Did the kid die?
No. But the point
Wait,
is,
oh.
it's just supposed to scare the crap out of
Well,
you.
there was a lady who died from doing something similar, and she was using one of those reusable steel straws, and it like went right. Very terrible. Yeah, death. Recyclable straws, like those reusable straws, they kill.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
go back to plastic.
Yeah.
And the paper ones, who knows? You might get stuck in your nose and suffocate and die.
No, they're gonna they melt. They're I hate
They have them out here too. They have them at
They're
some
very
of the
bad,
some
yeah.
of the diners. They're
Yeah,
awful.
I won't use that.
So yeah,
My son gets so pissed when he sees those. He's like, it's paper.
it's awful.
Yeah.
Do you think that? Do you
You
think this is
can't
just,
drink a milkshake with a paper straw.
No. Do they actually? No. But if you get a milkshake at one of those places, they give you a steel straw though. They give you like a metal one.
Well, if you're eating in.
Yeah. They just give you like it just breaks.
Yeah. Terrible.
Do you think this is just a product of the culture we live in now, where nobody wants it? Like they don't see marriage as something that's actually a commitment and sacrifice. They just see it, like you said, as an accessory for their, for the fashion of their professional career, like we were talking about earlier. The guy who had to get married because he needed to have somebody to go to parties with, basically.
Oh, right. The people I just think this is I posted on Twitter that I think this is a really bad reason to get divorced. And people were like, there is no good reason to get divorced. And I don't know that that's entirely true either. But I do think that this is a particularly bad reason to get divorced. This is like the same bullshit that my grandparents my grandfathers, right? My grandfathers both walked out on my grandmother's, which it was the 70s. Like, that's not cool.
Men, am I right?
But I'm not saying men. I'm saying their reasoning was because they wanted some different experience of life other than being with the woman that they married and had many children with. Between the two of them, it was like 7 kids.
We all know that you're supposed to buy a sports car, not get divorced.
Get a toupee, people.
Take up
Exactly.
woodworking.
What are you doing?
That's when my parents got divorced. So like both my parents, I love both. My mom's since passed, but love both my parents. But when they got divorced, like my dad just picked up every hobby. Like just got every hobby in the book, picked up, started learning guitar, picked up woodworking, all these things. And it just seemed like he was so much happier. I'm like, maybe if you'd done that before,
Right.
you guys wouldn't have gotten divorced, right?
My dad became born again.
Oh, so everybody finds something, right? Like it's like, because what it was, like my dad would come home from work, and if he didn't make dinner, he'd watch the news, and then the news would piss him off, like as it does with all of us.
does.
And he'd go to whatever annoying story was on the news. I'm like, bro, turn the news off. Like if it's that annoying to you, like do you really
How
need
is
to know?
cyberbullying real? Just
Your
close
dad
the laptop.
he needed Twitter.
He needed no.
So that he could have been like, I'm
That would
pissed
be
at
even
this
worse.
news story.
Yeah. But it's just.
I think that Sophie Turner is in this situation blaming a lot of her own regrets about her lifestyle choices on her husband. But you can change the husband, it doesn't change the past.
I think she's going to regret
She
this.
regrets throwing herself into her career and fame when she could have lived a more conventional lifestyle where people weren't going to take photographs of her all the time. But again, made that decision, deal with the consequences of it after the fact. This says, Sophie feels like she's only just waking up to what her life really is. She became very famous at a very young age, then married and had kids at a young age, and never really had the teenage years of sleeping around and just having carefree fun with friends. She feels like her life stalled after Game of Thrones, and so has her personal life. Since the kids came along, she feels trapped. She's the only person in her tight friendship group who is married with 2 children. And likely that friendship group is pushing her towards self-destructive habits because that's the way that they live and they don't want to feel bad about themselves. So they need to drag other people down to the bottom with them.
Yeah.
Now she feels she wants to make up for the time she's lost as a young person. Jo wants a more settled life, and she's not ready for that because she feels that she's not even had a teen or young adult life. They met when she was 19. Like, They're acting like they've been dating since middle school and she never had a social life, never had a job.
Also, probably she fell in love. Like, falling in love is worth it. Stick it out. You know? I mean, my marriage didn't work out in the end, and that's, you know, my own personal tragedy. But the thing is, if you fall in love, like stick it out. Like, keep looking at your husband and be like, I am in love with this man.
I saw a tweet that was like, how do you get divorced after 4 years? Like, just stay married, LOL. And it's
4
like
years?
it's as simple as that. It truly is. It sounds condescending, but like, you've barely even gotten to know a person in 4 years.
They have 2 kids and it's been 4 years. Well, then they should definitely stick it out because they've had their kids young. They're gonna grow up and they're gonna have all this great time together, or they would have.
Let's look at Emrata's take. She decided to weigh in a TikTok where she congratulates women who get divorced under 30, like she did.
Here we go.
Under 30.
So it seems that a lot of ladies are getting divorced before they turn 30. And as someone who got married at 26, has been separated for a little over a year, 32, I have to tell you, I don't think there's anything better. If being in your 20s is the trenches, there is nothing better than being in your 30s, still being hot, maybe having a little bit of your own money, figuring out what you want to do with your life, everything, and having tried that married fantasy and realizing that it's maybe not all it's cracked up to be, and then you've got your whole life still ahead of you. So for all of those people who are stressed or feeling stressed about that, about being divorced, like, it's good. Congratulations.
Your kids are now going to grow up suffering. Congratulations.
But not only that, so are you. Like, you're going to suffer too, right? Here she is. She's in her 30s. She's still hot. She has money. Like, wait till you're 45, bitch.
Yeah.
Like, check it out once you're nearing 50 and you're like by yourself, you know, and you have money or whatever, but you're definitely not interested anymore. Like, men aren't going to be interested in you. I was talking to my friend.
Like, what is she doing in this video? She's laying naked in bed doing nothing.
Right. Like,
sitting on TikTok.
And like, who cares about you in 5 years? Who cares about you at any point? No one actually cares about you. I was talking to a friend of mine who's like, you know, her marriage, she's divorced, she has kids, she's like on whatever stupid bullshit dating apps. And I keep being like, go out in public and meet people. Yeah. Go to things, like, go meet people, stop being online. But whatever, you know, she's got to do her own thing. But she was like, you know, guys who are my age, you know, my age, whatever, like middle-aged, guys will post like, only looking for women between certain age. And she's like, what is that about? And I'm like, that's reality. What that is about is reality. Like, you don't like reality, that's fine. But there it is.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, and of course, like, Hollywood celebrity who has a lot of money and like all the surgeons in the world to do whatever can say this, but like, for your average woman,
it's a very condescending message to put out
and
there.
It's gonna, like, she maybe will end up happy because she will be able to like go do whatever she wants.
She has
that status
to do destructive shit to her life.
But the rest of the women out there in the world, they're gonna
need
that
security.
And even if, you know, they also are not going to be able to find a different man.
I mean, I don't know.
So
about
if it's not, if he's not, if it's not abusive, if it's not like a dangerous situation for you and your kid, like, look at your man, remember that you're in love with him, and figure it out. Mm-hmm. You know?
I know that if I was a modern woman working a regular job, I would take all my dating and relationship advice from Emily Ratatouille and Mia Khalifa. That's where I would get.
Oh my God, I forgot about that one. That one was so nasty.
That's where I would get my marriage advice. And I would expect that society would do nothing but improve if I did that. Who else to give you that advice, I say.
Truly.
Right?
And these are all people too who are going to get all their, like, you know, whatever. We were talking about this last time I was here. They're like weird cheek fat removed and do whatever
she's already
bullshit.
had her fillers and stuff in there. I have no doubt.
It's just too much.
But it's just. But this is also the fact that a lot of people take advice from people that aren't living their situation. I don't know about the like, if we're talking about the security part, like physical security. But right now, women are starting to out earn men at work anyways, and are graduating college in higher numbers.
You know that why that is? Like that there was this whole stupid diversity push for getting more women to be in college. So a bunch of women ended up so you had more scholarships for women, you had more specific kinds of stupid academic programs for women, like that's how we ended up with gender studies and all of this total trash that is not actually academic or intellectual, that has absolutely no rigorous components to it.
Well, from what I've seen, the statistics I've seen on Twitter and then just adopted as my reality, people are saying that the richest people and the poorest people are still getting married young, having kids young, and staying married more often. The middle class is drowning, and divorce rates are going up for the middle class.
In what ifs. They're drowning in what ifs. What if I could find somebody better? What if I could find somebody that's not like this person?
Because they need Jesus.
But it's for a woman like Emily Ratajkowski, she's living a very different world than your average woman that's taking advice from these people.
She's wearing makeup in bed.
Yeah.
It was probably a TikTok filter, though.
Who does that?
I just woke up like this.
Yeah.
Look, what?
I mean, if you wear makeup in bed, it's either because it's a setup or because you had a bad night and didn't wash your face.
Yeah, it's just, I just don't know about all this. I feel like a lot of times, like I make the jokes, right? I make the joke that, there's like women, like they just anything they can to outrun being responsible for their own actions, right? That's the joke. But at the same time,
everybody though.
No, but at the same time, on every level, society is giving most of them bad advice.
Part of that is that society wants the government, American society and much of the West wants the government to be your mate.
Yes.
They want the government to be your mate and your spouse and the one that you turn to when you're in a time of crisis.
Because why would you want to rely on the husband or the partner?
Just rely on the state.
Yeah, I was actually making that argument yesterday because we were talking about The Rock and we were talking about Oprah and we were talking about Maui and saying like all these people are complaining that rich people are asking them for their money, right? I'm like, yeah, but you'd have no problem if they took your tax dollars and sent it there. You don't care about that because it's the government that's giving them the money.
And they're taking your money anyway.
Yeah. And one of the big problems that I've had recently is actually the idea that people keep talking. Like, I get very annoyed. This is a little bit off topic, but I get annoyed with the doomerism of everyone who complains. Like, and it's what they're complaining about is completely valid. It's like, I'm never going to be able to afford a house. Very likely true for a lot of people. The boomers screwed everything up. Very much true in a lot of cases. I'm like, but what does the doomerism get you? It's not getting you the free markets you want to make this better. What it's going to do is make people more reliant on the government, just like they're saying with this. The next generation isn't trending towards any type of like free market economy. They're saying, let the government solve my problems because the problems that this generation has caused are unsolvable in their current state for me. And that's what's happening for a lot of the problems that society has created for these women. I don't know if they're unsolvable, but they're not even able to really assess what the issue is because every aspect of society tells them that this behavior is what they want to do. The grass is always greener on the other side. There will always be someone else. There's always more to be gained. When they're failing to understand that there is a lot of joy, like for the people who know, and there's plenty of people in the chat who, you had parents that stayed together 30, 40, 50 years. Like that's happiness to aspire. That's happiness to aspire to, right?
Yeah.
And it's like that's not shown to them in society. They don't show those strong relationships on television in movies anymore. You don't see a couple been married for 50 years that's shown in a good way. If it is, it's because one of the spouses died and the show is showing you that person is a widower now. At best, if not, they just broke up. So it's like, how do you expect people to behave better when there's no examples in society giving them a better, showing them a better path? I don't know.
One thing I wanted to read from Twitter says Sophie Turner is currently able to listen to Taylor Swift breakup songs that are literally written about Joe Jonas.
That's amazing.
Which is perfect.
Oh, and you also were saying that people were complaining because they were comparing Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra, who of course everyone knows.
She was feeling pressure to be like Priyanka Chopra, who's married to Joe's brother Nick. Because she's older, she's more mature. They seem to have a much better family life.
And remember, Priyanka, if that doesn't work out, I'm here. I'm available. Like she's older than me. That's fine. Not nearly as much of an age gap as
Al Pacino.
Like I will be your Noor Falah if I must. I will.
Age gap of like 5 years or less. This also says Joe Jonas tried to date Gigi Hadid when she was 13 years old and he was 19, which is weird. Just wanted to throw that out there. No one's free of blame here.
Right. Although I bet she didn't look 13.
No, she didn't.
No.
You said she looked 13
She said no
with
because she
makeup.
had school tomorrow.
You said she looked 13 with makeup. I didn't think she looked 13. I thought it made her look older than that. So
Makeup I think makes you look older.
yeah, it was creepy. So
Kind of creepy.
yeah.
And everything in the media right now about their divorce is very carefully placed, PR firm formulated news headlines that make either one of them look better or worse. So I'm sure there's a lot we're missing here, and that the story we're talking about is in a lot of ways fabricated. So disclaimer. There you go. Super chat time.
Let's do it.
Disco Jensen said, I got addicted to solitude because of the 80s and 90s. Thanks for the memory jog. Addicted to Solitude. It's an album title.
Yes, it absolutely is. That's there is an emo album out there. There is a master cut, a vinyl cut somewhere of an album called
Maybe Echo and the Bunnymen.
good stuff.
Derpa Lipa said, she ain't yours, bro. It is just your turn.
Yikes.
Well said. Andrew, you said at a certain point, if you can only attack Logan's wife, it becomes almost as sad as his inability to defend her.
Are they
guys
married?
agree?
Are they married?
They're
It's Fiance.
engaged.
Yeah.
So people are telling him to
they're
break
not
the
married.
engagement.
Yeah. I bet they don't get
He's
married.
attacked Logan personally as well, though, because, for instance, Logan was like a huge dick to his co-host on Impulsive just for being Christian.
Maybe she should break up with Logan and go after the guy who clearly has nerve.
Dillon Danis?
Yeah.
That'd be an exquisite turn of
the
events,
alpha
right?
move would be for her to then take him away from his wife and kid.
Oh, is he married?
Ooh.
Or I don't know if
Sorry.
he's married, but he did.
He's
just have
not
a kid.
married, but
Yeah.
they did pop
Yeah.
out a baby.
Yep.
Chris Chan said you should watch giant Amazon river otters chasing crocs and jaguars. They're huge.
Oh my goodness. That is
giant
wild.
otters.
Giant?
I didn't know that was
How
a
big
thing.
are giant otters?
I don't know.
Big enough to scare crocodiles, I guess. Yesh said, Mary ate a little spam, little spam, little spam. Mary ate a little spam. In the trash it goes.
Are you like spam, right?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
talked about this.
I don't eat spam. No spam for me.
I don't have any issue with spam.
No.
What's wrong with spam?
There's
no
literally
thank you.
nothing wrong with
No,
it.
thank you. Not for me.
Whatever,
It
Brett.
comes in just no. Let's do one more and then we will move on.
It was a life-saving food product for many people.
Viperus said, Mary, if you think otters aren't violent, just Google otter attacks. They are one of the most brutal animals. They just benefit from pretty privilege.
It's like
Dolphins too. Dolphins are scary. I think
Dolphins are bitchy, right? Aren't they like
14
mean?
people a year on average get R-worded to death by a dolphin.
There's the
R-worded?
Graped
yeah. There's
By
that great meme.
dolphins?
by dolphins.
Like
yeah.
people?
Yes. Yes.
Are you really?
They're psychos. Yeah.
There's that
That's
great
like, did you
meme.
remember that? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
There was that weird experiment where they gave dolphins LSD and a lady like lived with dolphins and ended up having a romantic relationship with a dolphin.
No.
Do you guys remember that? It was like
Wait.
It was like
Maybe
I think it was
do.
government funded.
Maybe I do
study.
remember
Of course
that.
it was.
It was very weird, and she
Ew.
was like in love with the dolphin. It was like a whole weird.
I think I do remember that.
It was grody.
Ugh.
There's like a
But I guess the
infographic.
dolphin was. I've always felt bad for the dolphin, but probably a dolphin was like, "Oh, cool." Kind of into it.
Did you ever play Echo the Dolphin on Sega Genesis? Somebody in the chat knows what I'm talking about. Very, very good game. Also, soundtrack absolutely slaps. It's on YouTube. You should go listen to it. It's really if you are one of those people that trips on acid or such things, that soundtrack will it will send you. I tell you.
Keenan Smith said 3 to Tango was a movie with Neve Campbell and Matthew Perry. That was the reference.
Oh, never saw it.
Never saw it either.
Let's hold off on the rest,
Yeah.
and we will come back.
I didn't know about that either.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on and talk about Ethan Hawke.
So Ethan Hawke and his daughter, Maya Hawke, Nepo baby, by the way, recently did an interview together with Variety where they were talking about this movie that they're making together. And also Ethan Hawke's experience being the intimacy coordinator / director of his own daughter's sex scenes. He says, he's a cool dad. He's totally comfortable with it, and he couldn't care less. That's what he said. And this is for a movie that they're making about Flannery O'Connor, who, if you didn't know, is a quirked up, shouty short story writer, Southern Gothic author.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hold, please.
It's party time.
Thank you.
Flannery O'Connor is also a Catholic author, which, you know, if that's put into Hollywood's hands, they're going to twist it and make it horrible. It's like if they announced a biopic on J.R.R. Tolkien. It's like that. Like, you don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get, you know, defamed. And I mean, the first thing you see when you Google Flannery O'Connor's name now is an article that says, how racist was Flannery O'Connor? Like, that's what people want to talk about, is canceling a dead person for saying the N-word in like the 1930s. So here is
Judy
Ethan
Garland
Hawke.
with blackface.
Ethan Hawke's comment on directing Maya Hawke's sex scenes. And this is because she's playing not only Flannery O'Connor, but also characters that she wrote in her stories, some of whom had sexual encounters in these stories, which I don't believe were graphically detailed, but of course it's Hollywood. They want to shove that in your face. He said, I think it was weird for them. We were so comfortable with it, I couldn't care less. Maya says, we made sure to have an intimacy coordinator on set for them so that they felt safe and comfortable and not like they were being spied on. Ethan interjected, by some creepy dad. He is the creepy dad, though. The cool dad is the creepy dad.
The cool dad is always the creepy dad. That's always true.
Yeah.
I think they're lying. I think it was awkward. I think at the very least, she is lying that it was not awkward. I'm sure it was awkward.
It can't not be.
Of course it's awkward. Yeah.
Yeah, it can't not be. I don't understand. Also, the people who are going to criticize them for this and how weird this clearly is are just going to get told, well, you just don't understand art. And we were just talking about this response because Emma Stone is going to be starring in a movie called Poor Things.
Oh, I was checking out the trailers for that.
Yeah. She plays a woman whose brain is transplanted with her newborn babies, and she is a prostitute that has sex in the movie. Sex scenes of a baby in a woman's body are in the movie. And if you don't think that that is artsy and cool and insightful, then you're a Philistine and uncultured and a hick.
So I watched that trailer too, and because I was reading about how, you know, as soon as she gets the baby brain implanted in her head, I guess she like has an uncontrollable desire for sex, and all of that. And like, to a certain extent, you know, like babies like sensation, but that's a totally, totally different thing and not even remotely similar. But what I kept not being able to figure out is how, like, how does she know how to do anything or talk or anything? Like, is there a whole thing where there's a physical therapist or a mom or somebody like teaching her how to do stuff, and it takes years and years for her brain to develop?
Well, she's made this way by a Frankenstein-like character, so I don't think any of it is supposed to be
not supposed to. Well, that was the I just kept getting hung up on that. Like, how can she talk? You know, like, this is not a My Fair Lady type of situation.
It's feminist because she hits men when she's mad at them, because babies, you know, I guess if they had the ability to, would hit people.
I didn't find that with any of the babies I've ever encountered. But yeah, I think that movie is going to probably be visually stunning and horribly disgusting.
It looks really good, like visually.
It's beautifully. It looks like really visually
it's colorful
interesting.
and
it's got,
you know,
neat
it's
shapes.
sort of like baby colors. You're
Right.
looking up at there's some mobile in the sky. Like it's shot like that.
Yeah.
But then the real subject matter is extremely sinister and disgusting and pedophilic, honestly.
I think so too.
Aside from that,
but it got rave reviews, of course. Everyone loves it. And what was it, Venice? Is it at Venice?
Yeah.
if you don't condone that, or if you don't condone a father directing scenes where his own biological daughter is in compromised positions and is hypersexualized, if either of those things make you feel a little bit weird inside. You think maybe this isn't about art, it's about
I bet
making our
yeah.
culture more coarsened and desensitized to sexuality, then you're just incapable of understanding art.
I would not want to pretend to be having sex in front of my father. I just wouldn't want to do that.
Most people wouldn't.
No, and I bet she didn't, and
But
I bet
if
it made her
she's-
feel weird.
Well, if she is raised in the Hollywood sphere all her life, maybe this is something that she would consider as normal because she's been conditioned to think that this is normal.
Well, if that's the
And that
Hollywood
there aren't
sphere, then we
those
got to burn
normal
that down
boundaries.
because that's
Yes,
a problem.
and that there aren't normal boundaries between children and adults either.
Product of the work environment there. It's just
Yeah.
always been that way.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Yeah.
I think that's
Also,
terrible.
Ethan Hawke had Maya Hawke with Uma Thurman, who he's no longer with, as you might know, because he cheated on her with the nanny. Very stereotypical.
And now he's got 2 kids with the nanny.
And I was saying, like,
He has
that's
2 kids with the nanny.
They're married.
their
They've been-
long term.
they've
It
been-
wasn't a fling, if
they've
that
been
makes it
married
any
now,
better.
like twice as long as he was married to Uma Thurman.
Oh,
So
wow.
he
Yeah.
found true love in the nanny.
But I was saying this is very like primal and biological because you're going to be attracted to the woman that is taking care of
I
his
always
kids.
thought that too. Like that would be sort of an obvious. Your wife is too busy to take care of your kids, but this lady is like.
But it
probably
also makes
irons
sense
your shirts
if
now and
you
then.
happen to hire a hot nanny. She is attractive.
The nanny
Like,
looks like Reese Witherspoon.
You should probably go for a homely nanny, if any.
Like, look, Uma Thurman's out here in Kill Bill. And he's just like, look, this lady's taking care of the
Yeah.
kids. This is great. She looks like Reese Witherspoon, and then they got married.
I
after
didn't
the
think
fact.
she looked like
I
Reese
think she looked-
Witherspoon.
think
I thought
looked
she
like
was
Reese
less attractive.
But
Reese Witherspoon.
I do think there's room. I was telling you earlier. I do think there's room for a joke if they were to make a movie about their life where everyone makes fun of them. They're saying, "You left your wife for the babysitter. She's not a babysitter. She's a nanny.
It's her
different.
career. It's a career.
Exactly. She's not a girl babysitting after school. She's a professional." She's good at her job, and it was attractive to him. And now they've been to. So he got the better end of the deal than what Arnie got when he slept with that ugly maid. That was, did you ever hear that story about Arnie and the maid? Like
Who's Arnie?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh,
So
no,
like he.
Wasn't he married to a Kennedy?
Yes, he was married to Maria Shriver.
Maria Shriver, yeah.
And
Hiring a nanny is also dangerous because they can write a dossier on you and all of the ugly parts of your private
They
life.
can set up a teddy bear cam.
and they
Yeah.
said I said the Arnie's maid wasn't nanny wasn't hot, but the point is that they point out that like his wife aren't like Maria knew the nanny. They were friends, they were on speaking terms, and they had sex in their bed. And then the Bill Burr skit, he's like, why did Arnie get all the flack in that? Why didn't the maid get any of the flack? He's like, she knew his wife, slept with him in their bed. That's first ballot down the checklist Hall of Fame whore right there. Perfect, but she got no flack because
Well, it's not her marriage vows that she's breaking.
But
Yeah, but I mean,
she's
adultery,
knowingly
like
doing
everyone
it.
should be on board. Like you should never sleep with a married
Of course.
person
It's
that
okay.
you're not married to.
Of course, but what he did was worse because he's ruining his own marriage.
It's,
Yeah, but she shouldn't have done it either. I believe that I believe that it's still adultery if you're a person who's not married and you sleep with a married person. I think that's adultery also.
It is always weird how like you see those things in the movies
Because
where, like,
thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's, what have you over there. So
where it's like the wife or the boy, like they'll get mad at the person who cheated on their spouse, but not the spouse, or like, they're
Well,
like,
especially if it's the other woman.
yeah, they'll get mad at the woman, but they won't get mad at the guy.
I think you should
That's
get mad at
insane.
everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody should be gotten mad at.
Yeah.
I think.
So for Maya and for Ethan, like, look, Training Day was great, but I just don't know if this is necessarily the thing.
The other thing too that they're forgetting is sex scenes are always awkward on set. So to say that they're not awkward is just a lie.
There needs to be a real reckoning on intimacy coordinators in Hollywood, and people need to realize why they exist. And it's not okay. Intimacy coordinators exist because people are uncomfortable doing sex scenes. Period.
There didn't
Everyone
used
is
to be-
uncomfortable simulating sex on camera or having sex for real on camera for their job. at the risk of losing their job if they refuse to do it. Everyone is uncomfortable with that, male and female.
Michael Douglas wore a full body stocking.
It's uncomfortable. Everyone's uncomfortable with it. And the intimacy coordinators don't exist to make everyone feel happy and safe. They exist to protect studios from liability for the very risky situation they're putting themselves in.
They didn't used to exist either. I remember when intimacy coordinators came into entertainment and theater and film, because it was like in the
obscenity laws went away and the intimacy coordinators came in to fill the place.
After me too.
It was, but I mean, it was before, it was like sort of in that realm. It was like 2015, 2016. We really started to see them. Like that's when it started working its way into everybody's off-Broadway budget too.
Still waiting for like one of these guys to break the glass ceiling on male intimacy coordinators and really get that job. I need you to prove that it's possible for the men.
Possibly a male to female intimacy coordinator.
We're gonna need that. Also, it's I still remember. I think it was they did an interview with some adult film star who had to do who was hired to do a scene in the first season of True Detective. And then they were talking with like either Alexandra Daddario or one of the other stars, where they basically said like, and the director goes like, okay, and like time to get naked and be on set, and like all the adult film stars are just like, okay, like get naked really easily and like get into place, and it's completely normal for them, right? And all of the non-porn actors are like timidly like, I'll take my robe off at the last minute, and the porn stars are like, I don't get it. You know what I mean? It's
we always had that because I went to theater school, and we always had that with dancers. So like acting students and theater students would always be very, sort of like closed up. Yeah. And then the dancers would come in and they would be like half naked and whatever, and they would just not care. They would just get undressed in the, like right outside the rehearsal room. And everyone else was just like, But yeah, that was always a funny dichotomy, the theater kids and the dance kids.
Why do you think that is? Because is dance considered more inherently...
You're just way more in touch with your body when you're dancing. You have to like move around all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas, for actors, and for actors too, like it takes a lot for an actor to be okay with being ugly. Like a lot of actors, and this is something I always noticed.
I'm working on that every day, guys. Don't worry.
I always noticed this in school, but like... An actress would always pose a certain way, and it would like almost, it could hinder the honesty of the scene, because you're like trying to pose in a way that doesn't show off, I don't know, your cellulite or whatever. Yeah. So it was just a different approach.
It's inherently restrictive because you can feel the self-consciousness.
You would like see, and dancers were that's what it is. And dancers were way less self-conscious.
And then a lot of times but
they weren't naked either. I mean, they were just like being different.
They'll talk about actors in scenes where they have to make them do it a certain amount of times, where their frustration with having to keep doing it overrides their self-consciousness or their inability to reach what they need from them in the scene, and eventually the exasperation will be enough to get them through the uncertainty of what they're feeling. Sometimes it's as much as like not being able to get your body into a position that feels like it fits for that. Like if like scenes where people are awkwardly positioned, you'll see it in Tom Cruise movies when they have to seat people awkwardly so that Tom Cruise doesn't look so short, right? And Val Kilmer's like this. It's like but if it's a scene where it's like two people intimately sitting there, that's hard to fit. Like that's hard to fake, right? To actually appear loose and comfortable with somebody in a way that a person that's intimate with another person would feel. Right. You can feel the distance between you if it's uncomfortable.
I always have that too. Like if I record an interview with if I'm doing an interview with someone and I record it, we'll have this like perfectly good conversation beforehand, and then as soon as I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna just flip on my recorder for this, everything changes, and they're not as honest, and they're just not as I don't know if they're not as honest, but it's like they're not as comfy. Yeah. All of a sudden.
I mean, I still feel that way sometimes. Like it doesn't.
But you guys
always
do this every day.
Yeah.
Like. You guys are very natural at this.
But it is like you can feel that with some people, especially if they're not used to being in front of a camera, and it's just it's a barrier for a lot of. You know what it is? I think like at least for me, it's like you don't want to say the wrong thing, like use a word wrong, and you psychologically it's in your head that you're going to misspeak and know that you're going to be heard misspeaking, and then somebody's going to say something about it, so you're more tentative.
Right,
than you would be normally. Whereas if you're having that conversation with a friend and you say something and you use the wrong word for something, for instance, but they know what you mean, that doesn't matter there. But it does when you're communicating to a large audience of people you don't know personally. So.
My final thought on this is I don't trust Hollywood to make anything that is remotely related to faith, or especially Catholicism and Catholic figures, people of the Catholic imagination, people who've contributed to the Catholic imagination. And they clearly don't see Flannery O'Connor as an artist. They want to impugn her for things that she did that are cancelable in 2023, but not in her own day and age. They said, she's not a clear-cut hero by any stretch of the imagination. She benefited from a lot of the privilege of whiteness while being deprived of a lot of the privilege of maleness. Can you make a movie about someone without hero worshiping them? And they're talking about how some of her work has the N-word in it. Big whoop. I just don't trust Hollywood with anything related to the faith every time, because they mess it up when they get remotely close to the Catholic Church. Like, they messed up writing about Father Gabriel Amorth really badly. I didn't mind Andrew Garfield in Silence, and that's about a missionary priest in Japan having a crisis of faith. It wasn't bad. So they don't always mess it up, but it usually is pretty bad. And as for their talk about intimacy scenes, I think it's just mostly disturbing to see such a lack where there should be a father's protectiveness over his daughter and her purity and innocence. Like, to completely lack that, it's very jarring to see someone talk about their daughter like a coworker.
I think that's weird too. There was this story that this is reminding me of years ago. It was in Cosmo, and it was a woman who was like an author or whatever, and her dad had walked out when she was very young, and she eventually met him when they were both adults, and they proceeded to have an affair. And she writes, she writes all about it in Cosmopolitan magazine, and it's like the kind of train wreck. And I remember
Cosmo
reading,
was like, this is your light reading for the nail salon.
I remember reading like this article and just, it's stomach turning. And this kind of reminds me of that. It's like, why would you want to view your daughter in this way?
Yeah.
All right, that's enough internet for today, guys. Let's hold off on the rest. Let's talk about boy moms, shall we? Let's talk about boy moms, because there's a video that was going around the internet last week, and it couples with an article that I found. Let's watch the video, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's watch.
Let's just get it out of the way.
We'll get the fun part out of the way. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. This went viral last week a little bit. So this is a young man. He must have won a football game, and his mom was very proud of him. Here we go.
That's his mom. That's not his girlfriend, that's his mom.
Thoughts?
It's very similar to the Ethan Hawke situation.
It's
Don't do that
weird.
kind of stuff. That is a girlfriend move or a wife move. That's not.
If Ethan Hawke is a girl dad, this is a boy mom.
It's
and
gross.
The term boy mom is very
That's really gross.
it's a very debated term on the internet, because a lot of moms of boys call themselves boy moms on the internet, and it means different things to different people, but it usually suggests a weird Oedipal attachment to your sons, where they're kind of like a surrogate husband.
You said that the idea is that they want to raise their sons to be the husbands they didn't have.
That's what a lot of people were
Okay.
saying in the responses to this video in particular, is that what women are conditioned to want is to get undying loyalty and love from a man. And if they feel they cannot get it from the father of their children, their husband, they will endeavor to give birth to and raise the man who unconditionally loves them the way they always wanted, which obviously is incredibly unhealthy and not ever something that you should
Yeah, that's gross.
do.
Maybe these women
And
maybe should
also,
just watch MILF Manor.
That was like Freud on drugs. Like that was
What's
super
MILF
Freudian.
Manor?
Well, you see, Libby, MILF Manor was the height of cinema and television, where 8 women went to a large mansion and their sons went with them, and then their sons would go and interact with the other moms. Yes.
For our reality television enjoyment.
Yes, it's
That is nauseating.
Yes, it's to me it's not as weird as the show where in the UK where it was just like showing naked adults to kids to get them comfortable with different body types.
That was totally messed up too.
Yeah,
it's great times. We live in a great world right now, right? But I do have an issue with a little bit of the idea of boy mom and girl dad in general because I find it to be weirdly divisive. Like
can you just be a mom or a dad and not make it into a
hairs
thing?
Here about this stuff. I understand that. Like, look, the idea is that as the mother of a son or as the father of a daughter, there are unique challenges and concerns that come from that role as a parent, right? I get that. But I do feel like we are in a society now that loves to parrot things down and make things, they want to subcategorize everything. And what the TikTok videos that were coming out of all of these things were essentially boiling down to was, I'm going to be a mom that's going to teach my son how to treat women right because men are inherently incapable of finding stuff on a shelf. Because
or men are inherently evil.
Yes,
is what they believe. And
so it felt as if, and then the other issues that come with that is that they're using their kids for social media clout. I have my own issues with that as well because the kid is like a 4-year-old. Can he consent to being your ideological toy used to push an agenda? I don't know if that's right. I don't think that's right, but it's a problem. And then we had this article, which I just feel like this is more just bad parenting in general. It has less to do with the mom part of it and more to do with the idea that she doesn't really get what it says, I refuse to let my teen son get a job. That's insane. I will fund his existence.
I think it is actually related to the fact that it's the mom of a son, because if a father said this, like, I refuse to let my teen daughter get a job, that's insane, I will fund her existence, I would find that way less weird.
Okay. All right.
Because
but the boy, like,
that's like a normal dynamic that men want to be providers and fathers want to be protective, not let their daughters get into dangerous situations and, give them security and provision and love. That makes sense. A little less sense when it comes from a mom, but
this is what she said. Let's go with what she said. So she says, I told him I don't want you to get a job. I don't think it's a smart idea, she explained. Her name's Esther. There you go. An Esther in the wild in 2023. She says, arguing that she doesn't want him to think he has to work just to stay alive. You do have to work just to stay alive.
Literally,
You're
just to stay
literally
alive.
teaching him the opposite of what it's going to do to raise him correctly. Have you ever seen the meme? It says like capitalism, work or die. Communism, work and die. You have to work to survive.
Well, it would be more normal for her to say, like, he's 15, I don't want him to be getting a job just yet, but at this age or that age, then I think it would be more appropriate for him.
I think.
But why is it like he should never work in his life?
I don't even care if she's just talking about being underage. I think good parenting would be to teach him at a younger age that getting a job is good for teaching you personal responsibility.
Also,
well, if she had some seemingly arbitrary rule where, like, I'm going to have him get a job at 17 instead of 14 or 15, then that's her parenting choice and everyone's less opinionated about it. But the way she's wording it is that he should never have to work to live.
She said, I started working as 14 as a waitress. She spent her 20s trying to find a new career of interest. Nearly 2 decades later, she's a photographer and marketing co-coordinator in Australia. Look, he's going to have to get life experience somehow. He's not going to want to be reliant on you forever. And even if your plan was to just do this, until he's 18, you're drastically hindering him by not allowing him to go out and at least try to learn self-sufficiency.
Does he want a job?
No.
It's different if he wants to work, but she's not letting him.
Yeah. And then she's not saying forever. I have a problem with her saying, I'm not letting you get... Now, if she said, you don't need to get a job if you don't want one, fine. But the point is you're teaching a life lesson that's antithetical to what's going to help you in the real world. And this is part of the, I feel like this would be a difference between men and women. Like if this was a guy raising a son, he would push him into the workforce because he understands that there are skills that you have to learn by getting a job that you will need when you're an adult.
I had a thing where, so my mom wouldn't let me get a job when I was that age either. But when she was like, school is your job, school is your job. But then when I went to college and she knew that I didn't want to stay, I took a year off, halfway through my sophomore year. And I moved back to my mom's house in Philadelphia. She was like, you need to get a job in an apartment. And I was like, fine, I will do that. And I did that, which you could do in whatever year that was. What was that? I don't remember. Anyway, you could do that. You could like get an apartment. It wasn't, you know how now it's like you need first and last and security and
you have to make 3
broker's
times
fee and you have to make all of this stuff. And you have to good credit. And I had no credit, but whatever. I got an apartment. I got a job. I worked at an Aubon Pain or however you say it, Pain. I'm not French.
I don't even know what that is.
It's like a fast food sandwich shop that they sometimes have in train stations still.
Okay.
I worked at a hat shop. I worked at a record shop. I worked at a bookshop. I interned at a theater company. Got a job at a film festival. I did like a ton of different jobs that year. And by the time I was ready to go back to school, I was like, I knew how to hustle and I knew how to work. And so, whereas I left school like with very poor grades, when I came back, I knew how to work really hard. And so I took extremely hard courses and I was like, I'm going to do very well. And I did do very well. But if I hadn't known how to work, which I didn't know when I hit school in the first place, it made such a huge difference to know how to work, how to like show up for my 8 o'clock class in the morning, because like you have to show up on time when you work at a store, whatever. Mm-hmm. I think work gives you a lot of lessons, valuable lessons as to how to employ yourself. It's not just about like being part of a workforce, but like know how to do diligence, know how to do things, know how to be rigorous in your undertakings. She's saying go have hobbies. How does he know how to dedicate himself to a hobby and do a good job? How does he know when you have to stay up all night to meet a deadline and when it's okay to put it down until tomorrow? You don't know because he has absolutely no urgency. That's one thing I find too. People workers don't necessarily have the same kind of urgency that is necessary to do a good job at your workplace. There's an awful lot of like, it's okay if I cut corners, it's okay if I cut off early, whatever it is. There's, and I talk to people all over different industries and whatever, we talk about this kind of stuff. But you need to have urgency, you need to be hungry. If you're not hungry, why should anyone feed you?
And they say now that like Gen Z more than any other generation is the generation of work-life balance, right? Because a lot of it is also because like we are slowly pushing more and more in towards a gig economy where like the one if I was white,
but you got to earn that balance.
Exactly. And the one white pill that I would have for a generation of people that want to be influencers or want to be like they want to YouTube for a living is that you are your own boss and you're responsible for making your own money. There's actually something to be said about like, look, if the idea is that you want to do this for a living and you're not answering to anyone else, I actually kind of like that because our generation or my generation was raised to be employees, not to work for themselves.
You were raised to be managed.
Yeah. So there's something to be said about that, but it's just, you have to learn those life skills. And I feel like
they're saying that Gen Z is basically unemployable and illiterate at this point.
We got lucky with Mary. That's what happened. We got lucky with Mary.
They can't write emails, and when they show up for the most menial of tasks, they don't do them.
Did you see this woman? Where was it? Why can't I remember? Anyway, this woman who was in Des Moines, Iowa. This woman who was a BLM activist in 2020 ran for city council, got elected to city council, and then just stopped showing up. For her job at city council. And then 6 months later, her dad went to city council and resigned on her behalf.
That's
we
amazing.
just ran that today at
That's
Postmillennial,
amazing.
Yeah.
She's just like, look, I'm bored. I don't
How
wanna
old
do
was
this
she?
anymore.
I don't know, some some normal age that's
Not
like
Part of
not
it-
Gen Z.
Part of it is
I
also
think she was
like,
Gen Z for sure.
She
yeah.
was.
I think
the
so.
boomers.
Let me find it.
The
I'll take a
boomers
look.
had an unequivocal like identity with their job, right? They identified with the company that they worked 20 to 30 years for. And then like a lot of them, like they get laid off and then they don't get their pension. And now people can't afford houses.
Before the boomers
Yeah.
and before the Industrial Revolution, there was not such a thing as work-life balance because your work was so integrated with your life and your domestic household was your place of work.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm about to go Ted Kaczynski mode, but a lot has gone wrong. But I wanted to go back to the boy mom subject and ask you, Libby, as the mother of a son, what your take is on that whole dynamic. And I mean, the way that parents are the ones that teach their children what gender roles even are, and how can that go wrong?
Yeah, so a lot of parents are teaching their kids the wrong gender roles these days. And we see that, of course, all over the place. But I think it's important when you are raising a son. I don't know from raising daughters. I don't have a daughter. I have a bunch of sisters, but we're not really close. When you're raising a son, you want to teach your son to be a good man. You want to teach him to grow up to be a good man. And so, like, I'll say to my son, who's like, he's 13, he's as tall as me. He's basically, his arms and legs are bigger than mine, you know, like, and I will show him, like, your hands are bigger than mine. This is why we don't roughhouse anymore. Like, you know, we did when you were 10. We would, you know, I would like throw him in the sand at the beach or whatever. But I tell him, I'm like, you're going to grow up to be a big, strong, hairy man. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a perfectly good thing to be. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And I feel like my job as his mom is to see what his talents and abilities are, and to guide him to adulthood while he is able to make the best use of those things, learn how to develop those things, and also to see what he's missing and try and give him the tools that he needs. Most of those tools that I think are important are an ability to do hard work, to be self-directed in that work, and to, you know, take care of the people that he loves. When he was younger, he asked me, I would always frame things, right? Like you sort of, the way that you frame something for a kid early on gives them the way that they're going to think about that. So when he was younger, I would say, you know, when you grow up and you fall in love with a woman and she falls in love with you and you're good and kind to her and she's good and kind to you, then, you know, I want 20 grandbabies or whatever dumb thing I would say. And so eventually he asked me, and he was still a little kid, but he said, Mom, when I grow up and I fall in love with a girl and she falls in love with me and I'm good to her and she's good to me, how will I know when it's right to kiss her? And I was like, well, by then you're going to know it's going to be okay. You're going to know because you're going to be in love with her and she's going to be in love. You know, we like talked it through. We talk about
You're going to sign this consent form on your phone. She's going to sign a consent form on your phone.
And you're going to submit it to the Bureau.
I didn't talk about that.
Of all physical touch.
Because he gets enough of that. He got enough of that in school. But you just want to frame things out so that he feels that he's in control of his life. And that he's not, and that he's responsible for the people that he loves, you know?
Okay. Why do you think these moms on social media are adopting the identity of specifically being boy moms? And
I don't understand it at all.
What comes with that?
I actually don't.
You can't relate?
I don't really understand it at all. I'm very proud of my son. I'm proud to be his mom, you know, and I tell him that. I'll be like, you're terrific. I'm really proud to be your mom. I think you're doing great. You know, I think you're going to be a great grown up. And I say stuff like that. But no, I don't understand this. I want him to work hard. I want him to do his chores. I want him to earn his keep. I want him to know his own worth and value. I want him to understand that in the people that he chooses to associate with. And he's kind of picky in his friends, which I don't really mind. You know, yeah, I don't understand this. I think this has a lot to do with the mom's own self-image. And very little to do
it's the social
with
media
the
clout.
Kid. Yeah,
it's just they found their niche.
Yeah,
this is what I can provide the people who give me validation on social media.
Not always. There are women who aren't looking for social media clout that still adopt this identity and have weird incestuous attachments to their sons.
They watched Bates
I think
Motel.
That's weird too.
It's increasingly single moms.
I remember seeing a single mom on a subway platform in Brooklyn years ago, and she was walking with her child, and the child had clearly asked some question, and the mom was answering it by going into it was like a question about someone that they knew, and she was going into way too much vivid detail about the adult situation of the person that they were talking about. It was like a dating thing or whatever. And I remember thinking, like, this is the kind of stuff you need to keep to yourself. This is not for kids.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's questions my son will ask me and I'll be like, that's not a question I'm going to answer for you, bud. You know, keep moving on. And I think that's important. You're not there to be your kid's friend. You know, It was interesting because during the pandemic, we went to my mom's house, and she lives down the shore in Jersey. And part of it was we lived in Brooklyn, and I was worried in part that my mom might get sick and she would be alone and I wouldn't be able to get to her because of like lockdowns or whatever. I didn't know it was going to happen. And I knew that school was closing and they were shutting down the parks and they were doing all that. And I was like, I want my kid to be able to go play outside. So we'll just go down the shore, which we did. But there was nobody down there. So I realized like he needed someone to play with. And so I was like, okay, we will do different play things. We would like walk on the beach. I would like wrestle with him or whatever. But I was always very specific, and I'd be like, okay, that was our playtime. That was awesome. But like, I'm in charge. I'm still in charge. I'm still the mom. I'm still in charge. And we got to be pretty close during that whole pandemic, in that like, you know, he'll tell me stuff and whatever. But that's a one-way thing. Your kid isn't there for you to confide in. Your kid can confide in you, but you're not supposed to like spill your guts to your kid just because they're there. Yeah. You need to maintain authority, and you need to be a trusted person. You know, you're not there to be vulnerable for your kid. Your kid shouldn't be taking care of you or feel like they're emotionally responsible for you.
That might even make it harder for them to trust and confide back, right? Because it shatters the image of, you know, that larger than life image that parents have a lot of the time.
Yeah. Like, I don't remember ever thinking my parents were heroes.
Yeah.
You know? And like, I think that would have been nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Boundaries.
Yeah. Boundaries are huge.
Yeah.
I don't see any boundaries in any of these stories. Don't jump up on your son like that. Yeah. And don't do this whole thing.
More than anything, just don't jump up on your son like he just got back from deployment.
Right.
Gross.
That's all I'm saying.
Weird.
She looked like she wanted way more from him.
We'll pass on
Very
that.
disturbing.
All right, we got some super chats there.
Jimmy Bags 86 said, "Shout out to Libby for calling New York Mayor bitch on X."
I did do that.
Keenan Smith said, "Deep conversation with Waffle Sensei."
Where is Waffle Sensei?
Then he said, "I'm not saying that bad up." Then he said, "Mallrats running joke about the kid on the escalator was hilarious."
I need to. I got to go like on an escalator. Like there was one out of order the last time I was at. I don't remember. It was like a mall or something like that. And I'm like, yep, not doing it. Mm-hmm. No, thank you. I'm not getting pulled. Plus,
I don't like those.
And that happened at a time when my generation were wearing like Jinkos, which
I remember those.
Just had so much extra fabric that you're just going to get sucked down into the bottom of that thing and never to be seen again. Like a scene from a horror movie.
There was a period of time during when MTV was doing all those animations, and the rule for the animators was you could not see the back of anyone's shoes.
Amazing.
Derpa Lipa said, "Be honest with yourself for a moment. Who do you think coined the term starter marriage? Men, highly unlikely given who pays alimony usually."
Starter marriage.
That's a terrible phrase.
And it is a thing that you hear, like I've seen in plenty of shows and movies where it's like and these are always like metropolitan New Yorkers. Oh, like, it's like some dude, he's been in the military for X amount of years, or he's a law enforcement, like only 3 marriages, huh? Because the idea is like they're married to their work or they're married to their job.
Right,
so the marriages quickly fall apart. And it's just seen as a foregone conclusion, right? Only 4 marriages, huh? Crazy.
My dad's been married 3 times. But I don't even think it was always his fault at all.
Do you go to every wedding? Do they have a wedding every time?
I didn't go to the first one because I wasn't born.
Okay.
But yes, I went to the next two.
Okay. I just
I was
don't know
even
how
the
I'd feel.
flower girl at the second one.
I don't know how I would feel about the whole going to like I'm saying for myself. If for some reason I was to trick a lady into marrying me and then that fell apart and then had to do it again, like I don't know how I'm like, hey guys,
like trick another lady.
like and then you have to, all right guys, got to come back, got to come back for a second round.
The part that I find weird about the second marriages of your parents is that, like, if your parent gets remarried and you are like over the age of 14, 15, 16, something like that, your parent still expects you to have some sort of relationship with their new person. And it's like you're supposed to be nice to them, which, like, okay, but like you're supposed to see them at holidays. They say things like they're supposed to, like my stepmom will be like, oh, I love you. And I'm like, but why? We met when I was 20. Like, what is between us?
It's nice.
There's nothing
when there
between
can
us.
be something like that in a not ideal situation, but it usually isn't that way.
And it's weird. It's like, what kind of relationship do I have with my parents' spouse that they married once I was an adult?
Yeah.
Like,
it's puzzling.
What is that even about?
Yep.
Disco Jensen said, back in 2019, all the UFO alien sightings were just time traveling us coming back to try and fix the timeline.
Could be.
Weird.
Keenan Smith said, Hitch, this right here is exactly why falling in love is so damn hard. I'm not going to say that.
It's worth it, though.
Connor Wolf said, how does Mary feel about the mostly peaceful Latinas' take on how hoes are treated in red-pilled culture? I basically said it earlier. I mean, they're right about the inconvenient truth that a lot of guys who say they don't want hoes still go for hoes for their own reasons, which are usually selfish ones. It's true. Hoes are really good at tricking men into thinking that they're the first one or they're the special one.
There was a show called The Glades.
Wait, I remember this.
Yes, with Matt Passmore and Keely Sanchez. And there's a scene at the beginning where he's talking about, I love that show because there's some very honest dialogue between, because he's a cop. She was, her ex-husband was in jail, and he becomes he likes her, they like each other. The romance stuff is kind of boring, but there's a really interesting discussion he has early on where he's like working on a case and he asks, he's like, has there been an occasion, he's like, where a woman will pretend to be a virgin again? She says, yeah, because guys think it's important. Like in that show back then, she's like, guys think it's important. She's like, I know girls who have been a virgin at least 3 or 4 times with 3 or 4 different guys. And he's like, I've heard rumors about you people. It's very weird how,
weird.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Very weird.
I can't hear the word weird anymore.
I know.
Rachel Zegler's
it's been ruined.
Annoying voice echoing in my mind. Derpa Lipa said, one granddad met my grandma because of a hunting accident. They took him to the nearest farm for help. He said, you never know, the worst day of your life could also be the best. I'm not 100% black pill.
That could be a movie.
That's romantic.
That's very sweet. Hallmark.
Yes,
It's very Hallmark.
It's also like we do it like part of a generation that's just that image of true love has kind of been shattered. I don't remember who sang the song, if it was Colin Ray, but it was called like Love You. It's literally about this guy talking about his grandpa on his wife's deathbed. It's the only time he ever saw his grandpa cry, and talks about how they met when they were 14 and they dreamed of running away together. They had to wait a couple years, eventually got married and lived together all those years. And the whole song is basically about him comforting his grandfather on the day that his wife died. Aww. And you just there's no value put in that type of romanticism anymore.
There should be.
Because they want everyone who seemed to be happy in the 20th century to have been
rapisty racists.
Yeah, racists and grapists.
There was a Diamond Rio song called Meet in the Middle that was very much in the same vein, talking about a boy and a girl who fell in love and they lived opposite ends of the city, meet in the middle. Like, you just don't see that stuff anymore. It's sad.
That is sad.
Shane H. Wilder said, this just sounds creepy and I don't know why they need a sex scene in it. I guess a good man is hard to find. Apologies for the O'Connor joke. Darth Doza said, at Mary, silence movie, how recommended?
How recommended? On the Mary scale of like, I don't like it to I kind of don't like it.
I kind of like it. There's the...
Wow! Holy crap. Mary doesn't like
this is
anything.
where
High
it is
praise.
on the
This is
scale.
high praise.
Yeah. So, yeah, recommend. Watch. Shane H. Wilder said, I also don't remember anything overtly sexual in any of O'Connor's work. She was very devout and it showed in her work. Hollywood strikes again. Yeah, I think just because it was implied that two people had sex in a story rather than explained in explicit detail, they decided, let's just
Explain it
in explicit detail and make you watch. Put you in the cuck chair, make you watch. It's very weird, uncomfortable. Weird. And I don't think that Flaherty or O'Connor would condone that being in a movie about her life if she were alive today.
That's why estates are now what run everything, and your values no longer
Yeah.
matter. Yep.
Derpa Lipa said, it's just a hug, bro. It's just a pronoun, bro. Touch grass. It's just rooms in schools for kids to learn self-pleasure, bro. Don't be a prude.
Bro.
Wait, is that a real, like, thing?
Yes. Oh, yeah. That was like that was
Ew, what?
Disturbed. Did you see that?
Yes.
Oh, dude. Like, I read that. That was like one of those, like, every day it seems like there's a story where, like, that's enough internet for today.
It's like it's like Plato's Retreat.
Oh, dude. It was like rooms
whatever
for
it was
like
called,
kindergartners
I think. Yeah.
to explore their
No.
yeah. And I read that and I'm like, it's like 7 p.m. I'm going to bed.
Could you set a more obvious trap for the PDF files?
Dude, like
Yeah, that's very...
Ugh. Gross. Waffle Sensei said, Corey Anderson said, welcome back, Mary. Missed your dulcet tones.
that is they're very happy to have you back. I'm a little too chipper for them.
Thanks. Waffle Sensei said, happy early birthday, Libby.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
When's your birthday?
Happy
Monday.
9/11.
Monday.
Happy early birthday. Oh yeah,
Thank you.
9/11.
9/11.
Happy early birthday.
Yeah.
What if someone just like said happy 9/11 to you?
Look, that's what they don't
What if
realize.
they
like,
sold red, white, and blue cupcakes at the grocery store on 9/11?
I'm still confused why we don't all have the day off on 9/11. Like,
Yeah,
shouldn't it be a national
like-
holiday? It should
It's
be
like-
like a long weekend.
2 cakes and like there's a tower on each cake.
Maybe that's yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's in New York on 9/11 and leading up to it. What they always do is they put these massive lights out at
Yes,
downtown, and it looks like 2 giant, it's supposed to symbolize buildings. But I was always like, oh, it's for me. It's for my birthday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Perfect.
Disco Jensen said, bring shame back. Yeah, if I have a platform, it's that we need to bring back a healthy amount of shame in
I'm with you on that.
society.
Yeah, I
It's
think
just
we also
that.
need to bring taboo back. There are things you don't do
and
talk
things
about.
you don't talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
Just bring it back.
All right. Guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video? Would you subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? Go ahead and share this video, this live stream, as well as all of our other videos with your friends. We would like more people to come in here and hang out with us every day. So, Libby, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Let everyone know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Libby Emmons, and you can check out all the great work we're doing every day at thepostmillennial.com and humanevents.com. Also, if you want to be a subscriber, be a member, come help us out, thepostmillennial.com/subscribe, so that we can continue our independent journalism.
We've got one more super chat from Amoeba Artstorm. My husband and I's dating anniversary is 9/11. Do people know their own dating anniversaries?
They must.
Is that a
Clearly
thing?
they must. It's the day that he worked up the courage to ask her out.
No, to take her out.
To take her out, yeah.
Anniversary of first date?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
okay.
that's kind of sweet. Congratulations.
There you go.
I'm a cynic because I think the only anniversaries that matter are wedding anniversaries. Pretty much.
Okay.
Anyway, you can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on Twix. That is also Mary Archived.
There's one more there from Serenco Productions.
Weird.
Weird.
So we're not going to be doing that.
All right, guys. Tomorrow night, before we go, I am going to be on a live stream with Colonel Kurtz at 9 p.m. on her channel. So please go ahead and check that out if you have not done so. If you have not seen her channel already, she was on the show about a month
It's
back.
not spelled Colonel like
No.
popcorn kernel.
No, C-O-L.
Colonel.
Yes. Colonel Kurtz. So that'll be tomorrow.
I say it out loud like that when I I have to spell it.
But if she makes a movie review channel, it should be Colonel, like Popcorn.
That would be
Colonel.
really funny.
That would be funny for me. Maybe just me.
There's one more there from the last of my kind.
Firefighters all over go to NYC to dress in full gear and go up and down in remembrance of those lost. Wait,
Yeah,
what?
it's a thing. It's like a I forget what it's called.
9/11 parade.
Two Towers run or something like that, right?
All right, guys, so if you want to follow me again, tomorrow I will be on that live stream. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twix and Instagram at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show, Pop Culture Crisis, is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you'd like to listen to the audio version of this podcast, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. And if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at PopCulture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys.
Bye.
Bye.